Hey everyone, this is Louis7 and I am streaming World of Warcraft for the second time in a row because I am excited to still try to find some classes I like, maybe some specs I like. So for anybody unfamiliar, this is part 2 and I think I'm checking, actually I forgot the class list, but Shaman I know is first, and then some other utility type classes. Actually it's Paladin, Monk, and then Death Knight for the last one, which that is going to be a melee class. But last time I checked out all the casters to see what kind of caster DPS specs I like, and then after I go through all the DPS classes, all the DPS specs rather, I might go back and try some tanks and healers. But the way I did this last time was basically playing each spec in maybe a dungeon or a little bit on the landscape while waiting for queues, and just seeing kind of what I like about it. Some people gave me some tips about doing the level 50 class trial, which I could do because there are a lot of, I think, exciting talents and even things that could change how the class or the spec plays rather by doing that, so it'd give me more of a full opinion, I guess, on how the class and spec plays. But I want to do it also with the characters I have to get progress on them a little bit and kind of see how all the different level type stuff works. So I think that is mainly what I did last time and what will be going on today. Kind of getting started a little bit later than I scheduled, just a couple minutes late, but I was just unexpectedly busy up until this stream. So I think everything is settled and I can queue for a dungeon. I think this character, a lot of my characters, I really like the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King content. So a lot of mine are doing those random dungeons. And I think this one, I have a ton of quests in Nagrand, and to briefly talk about Nagrand, this might be my favorite zone in the entire game. It's the Outland version. I think they updated it in Warlords of Draenor, and I actually thought that was okay. It was probably my favorite Draenor zone as well. But yeah, with the change to leveling, it's nice that I can go back to these areas that I like. I know a lot of people actually don't like the questing in Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, but I really like it. So it's nice that I have that option with the Shadowlands pre-patch. And yeah, I really have no idea what I need to do quest-wise. It would be nice to get a little bit of questing actually done while I test out some of the landscape gameplay. And I guess I should talk about my character, the Shaman. That's the first one I'm starting with, and this was a character I made basically when Burning Crusade, whenever that was released, to test out the new class and the new race. Let's see, I'm trying to think what I even need to look at. So usually I actually play Enhancement. That would probably be my main spec. I also like Elemental. I thought I would do Elemental first just because last time I did the casters and it seems like the first one to get done today would be it would be good to go ahead and do another spellcaster, and I'll do Enhancement next. But I might even do a dungeon on both of these specs on this character. I have a little bit more time today. I know the last stream took about 3 hours, even though I was thinking maybe like 2 hours 30 minutes for each class, and I'm doing 4 classes apart. But yeah, I think I can safely do both Elemental and Enhancement in the dungeon today on the Shaman, so we'll spend a lot of time on this character. And I would say the Shaman has recently actually been my favorite class over the Mage. The Mage used to be my favorite class. Oh, I'm targeting a different Windrock apparently. The only thing I must say about Elemental Shaman real quick is I'm still not a fan of Maelstrom. I thought it actually worked okay for Enhancement, but I'm not a big fan of it for Elemental, and then it stayed for Elemental and was gotten rid of for Enhancement. So yeah, and if anybody, I guess last stream that was really, I guess what am I trying to say, it was a bit experimental. I did not know how that stream would go, like if people would enjoy it or not, and it seemed like people found it fun testing all the different changes and like going through the talents. But if anybody has any recommendations on stuff or things for me to check out with these classes, please do let me know. I think for my talents I usually just pick what is fun. I don't care too much about performance. I guess I care a little bit about performance, but especially running like random dungeons or stuff on the landscape, it doesn't really matter too much if one thing does like 5% more damage overall. I don't really care about that stuff. Just to give you all some perspective on some of my talent choices, which I do plan to run through a little bit. And I am not used to playing a caster on landscape. I think in the other game I play, I don't think I mentioned this yet, my channel largely focuses on the Lord of the Rings Online for anybody unfamiliar. I'm just trying to get back to World of Warcraft and have more variety going on my channel, and one of the things in Lotro is a lot of the caster classes, they can either kite on the go, so it's a little bit weird to be standing still and doing induction based skills, so that's just something I have to get used to with the game. I don't think it's bad, but that's just something playing a spec like Elemental here I have to get used to. And also of note with my talents, Ice Fury I think changes the spec a lot, because I guess I wouldn't use Frost Shock much without it. Maybe I could use that while kiting. Just because I just talked about that. But I think it's pretty fun, but something I'm really experimenting with. The main problem I think with it, at least for me, for funness, is it has a 30-second cooldown. It does make me need to use a lot of different spells. I also have Elemental Blast just to have something extra, and yeah, there are a lot of exciting talents I could switch out and just test different things. Echo of the Elements is pretty passive, but oh, actually that one gives Lava Burst 2 charges. Never mind. I was confusing that with something else. See, Echoing Shock. Like, Echoing Shock would be another active skill I could get with a 30-second cooldown. But Elemental Blast in comparison has like a 12-second cooldown and generates 30 Maelstrom. And I don't think, with a class like this, I don't necessarily need to have a bunch of different skills because there are inductions. But yeah, I'm just thinking, I also have Liquid Magma Totem. I have not used that. That is an AoE, okay. It's an AoE totem, which is a bit weird. That actually makes me wonder if I'm missing a totem. I might not be. I'm actually mixing experience. I didn't check this character all the way for all the skills I could potentially be missing, and it looks like, yeah, Fire Elemental, I think. It used to technically be a totem, I think, but I'm not sure it still is. That was like way back in the day. And we got the Black Morris, which I think is one we actually did the last stream. That's unfortunate. Yeah, so this is the one with like all the portals that basically works like the Violet Hold. And unfortunately I did get it yesterday on whatever character, one of the characters I played on. I think actually right at the end with Warlock. Probably want to switch my mount out. It looks like I have a River Beast for a non-combat or for a non-flying mount. Not sure if I want to be riding like a bulky Drake. Am I going the wrong way? But yeah, there are a ton of like Burning Crusade dungeons that could be chosen, but somehow I've gotten the Arcatraz, I think, and whatever this one is, the Black Morris, multiple times now. One of the things I really like though about the Elemental Shaman is the variety of elements you use. Oh, somebody else is a Skinner. Actually, I think a couple other people are. Here we were still dealing with those Crocolisk, and we got the actual portal mobs. So I think when I use Ice Fury that Frost Shock basically becomes... Actually, I wonder if I should use Lava Burst over probably, if I had to guess. Because Lava Burst has a guaranteed critical and I have Flame Shock on the opponent, but basically Frost Shock becomes a filler is the way I'm thinking of it. Again, I'm not 100% sure that's the way it works with Elemental Shaman, especially with all the changes. Oh, I am going to have to hurry if I want to try to skin some of these mobs. Well, it said tapped earlier. I'm not sure. I actually thought at one point they might have updated skinning where multiple people can skin the same mob, like they made all the ore and herb nodes, but I'm not sure that's actually the case.
It's too far away.
Yeah, the gameplay is just so weird to me, and I think I'm actually curious. I just used Elemental Blast, but it made me think about if I use Lava Burst and then put Flame Shock on. Some skills I know have like a travel time where you can actually do that, but if I put Flame Shock on after I cast Lava Burst, I wonder if it would still guarantee the crit. That's something I would actually need to test. Like if basically Flame Shock goes before Lava Burst actually hits the enemy, even though you cast Lava Burst first. But yeah, I feel like the actual gameplay with the spec is just a little bit weird. I'll probably overall prefer Enhancement still, but I still think it's good to test out because even though I usually play Enhancement, I have played Elemental as well. This Drake is, especially I guess comparing to the other people's mounts, this Drake is extra bulky looking. And one of the notes about my talents is Ice Fury. I talked a little bit about that one, but the main reason I actually choose that is just because the other ones are super passive and not really exciting to me. So I'm talking about the gameplay feeling weird. It's actually mostly because of Ice Fury, I think. Even the Maelstrom, again, that part feels a bit weird to me, but just using Frost Shocks a lot with that 30-second cooldown skill while still having Lava Burst, Elemental Blast, and Earth Shock, all that stuff going on, it's definitely weird feeling gameplay to me. But again, the other options, Surge of Power, I think that one, this is kind of hard to do well in the middle of the dungeon with all the fights going on. We don't really have downtime, but we're getting to the boss fight. But basically the other ones just don't excite me and they're a little bit passive. Feeling would be the main reason I don't use those instead, even though this does make the gameplay feel a bit weird. Which maybe I could try one of those. I wonder if that totem is actually worth using in single target. Okay, so hello, not me, hee no. Thank you for the tip about the Lava Burst and Flame Shock. That is good to know, because like on the landscape, at least pulling a mob, I would want to start with an induction, so starting with Lava Burst seems like it would be a good idea. At least to me, it seems like it would. And then you can use Flame Shock. You don't have to use Flame Shock to pull the mob and then use like your induction. So I think I used all the Frost Shock charges, but I have a lot of Lava Burst and now Earth Shock going on. Really hardly have to use Lightning Bolt, it seems like. Like, just to make things easier on myself with the keybinds, I could even consider moving Frost Shock to 4 if I actually use it more often than Lightning Bolt. Let's see, I want to look actually. Wonder what 1 to 3 elemental overloads. Flame Shock, Lava Burst reduces the cooldown of Fire Elemental. I might actually try Surge of Power at some point. I don't know if there's ever a chance in the actual dungeon to switch those. I think there's an item you can use, or at least I had an item on another character at one point you could use to change your talents in combat, or out of combat rather, but not in a city. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, Lava Burst crit, I think. You get 2 elemental blast buffs? I thought I saw I had 2 briefly there. I think it's my dot. I was thinking I wasn't doing all that much damage. Every time I would use Lava Burst, I would see the 127 pop up for the crit, but I think that was the Flame Shock dot. I do not get much of a chance to actually do AoE and see any of that. It's one of the things I was actually hoping to test with Elemental. I might even switch to Enhancement and see if we do another dungeon that I'll probably do on Enhancement. I might actually switch that in the next dungeon I do. I'll try Elemental again to see if there's more AoE. Because I think it would be more exciting to see how some of those skills work, just because I didn't get to test them like Earthquake and whatever. And for Enhancement, I do have the Legion weapon. Artifact, I think is what it's called. And I have all my talents set up. I can talk a little bit about those when we actually get to the dungeon that was meant for Elemental. Let's see, and I kinda am already forgetting how I play Enhancement. And I also just got Wind Fury Totem, so I'm not used to actually having to put a totem down at the start of every fight, I guess. Oh, actually did not even mean to skin it that fast, but that's okay. I don't know if our rogue has been there for a while, but I guess they haven't been in the fights. Wind Fury Totem again. Yeah, remember, so I started playing the Shaman and Burning Crusade when they came to the Alliance. And I played the Alliance because that is where all my friends played when we all started the game. But I remember using a two-handed weapon and then getting like super excited for Wind Fury weapon and things like that. But by the time I got to, I guess Storm Strike was out at that point, which I don't think I put all my weapon buffs up. But yeah, at level 40 getting Storm Strike was super exciting, and then dual wielding. I should probably... Did I use my cooldown, Feral Spirit? It's on cooldown, so I'd guess I did. I think I could remove his buff. Let's see, where is that skill to remove his buff anyway? Purge. Yeah, the organization of my skill bars in general, I think on all my classes, is pretty bad. Mainly because... I actually wonder if I should use Frost Shock. there's a priority of Frost Shock versus Lava Lash. Probably Lava Lash, it looks like, just based off the damage. But I thought I saw I looted something. Maybe it was just gold. But yeah, with enhancement, I guess one of the things I really like is, once again, the variety of the elements you use. You have lightning. It actually does physical damage, but it's still lightning, and then Lava Lash, which does fire damage, and it's also fire with offhand weapon. And then Ice Strike is actually a new one. I don't remember that from Battle for Azeroth. It could have been something with that, but it's actually one of my talent choices there. But I also like the idea of that one because it does add another element as well, and just another elemental weapon attack. And then the shocks as well, of course. Enhancement doesn't have Earth Shock, and I think that's a little bit sad myself. I would rather be using Earth Shock than Frost Shock if I had a choice as the Enhancement Shaman, but yeah, I'm also not using Wind Fury Totem. Trying to think, it feels kind of, to me, a little bit, I guess, hectic going straight into this, because I've mentioned I've been busy today, so I feel like I'm going a little bit slow with the talking and talking about like the shaman or whatever, my experience on it. But yeah, trying to think about the current shaman gameplay. That one thing we get, Maelstrom Weapon, to make Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning instant cast, I think that's a fun mechanic, because it lets you include normally an induction based spell, like in your rotation a little bit. Keep getting Storm Strike resets. I think that's the main skill I didn't even get to. I think Crash Lightning, if I remember correctly, that was added in Legion maybe? It's just to give Enhancement Shamans another AoE. One of the old AoE things I missed was actually Fire Nova. I think that's a talent now, but it doesn't quite work as well as I think it used to with the old version of that. I think there have been many versions of that if I remember correctly, but one of the old versions with Flame Shock, actually, I think you could use Flame Shock and then spread it with Lava Lash, and I don't think that's the way Lava Lash works anymore. But with Fire Nova, that would like cause an AoE for each Flame Shock, and then you could get a ton of AoE damage. That was always fun if you used Fire Nova with all those Flame Shocks going on. But yeah, at least with the gameplay now, I'm actually not even meaning to skin those every time I do that. I guess it's good that I do get a chance to skin, but every time I like click the mob super quick after it dies, I just do that from naturally like to loot the mob. And it looks like we'll have the final boss maybe after this one or either after the next one. I don't know if the final boss is the 18th time rift or if it's the one after the 18th. Yeah, I feel like compared to the other specs that I'll be getting to later today, Enhancement Shaman is one of the ones I've played more since the Shadowlands pre-patch, and it's one that I know I enjoy. Even Elemental Shaman, all we talked about with that, but it's just a class I've had a lot more experience with lately. I mentioned it's probably been my favorite spec since, or my favorite class since in Battle for Azeroth, and probably even Legion, even though Fire Mage was always my favorite before that, and the Mage as a class was my favorite. So I should probably use Heroism, give us all a nice buff. And I think the reasons, even with Maelstrom, I just always found the gameplay fun. They're all the themes that are still in the spec, I think. Even though we had Maelstrom instead of mana and being more consumer and builder based than I guess it is right now. It's also super fun to get those Stormstrike resets, of course. I am getting a ton. I don't know why I was getting a ton in a row, but it is fun. I guess if I had a complaint about the spec right now, it'd still be, to me it feels like there are some like awkward downtimes when you have all your skills just happen to be on cooldown, kind of long cooldown like they are now. When usually there's enough variety, but I guess after a while in a fight, I've noticed throughout this that some, like all the skills will just be on cooldown and sometimes a whole bunch of things are available, so it just kind of creates this little bit of awkwardness to me with that. Well, somebody was very quick to get that last skin. Oh, I got an upgrade helmet. Replace purple with blue. Wait, that's not a helmet, that's a belt. The icon for this belt looks like a helmet to me. I did get a helmet as well. I don't know, it looks like I have Helm of the Champion, which I guess is the Azerite one. I didn't even know the Azerites were still effective. I thought they turned all that stuff off. Like, I guess all the stuff before Battle for Azeroth, they turned all the bonuses for that type of stuff off. Like the artifact and different things like that. Call them like legacy effects, I think. But yeah, I guess the next dungeon I'll try Elemental a little bit more. One thing I'm wondering with my talents on Enhancement, if there's anything better to manage the cooldowns. So when Ice Strike gets on cooldown, it has a 13-second cooldown, but one of the fun things with that is it resets the shocks, I think. I can go ahead and queue for the next dungeon while I do all this talking about the spec and my talents. So as far as like maximizing fun for me, I think it's nice that I get another skill and it's something to actively like reset the cooldown of something else, my shock skills. Apparently Ice Strike also slows the enemy. I didn't even know that. And the upfront damage I think is not quite as much. Actually it is more than Lava Lash. I didn't even know that. So Lava Lash, the 151, we would have to double because of Flame Tongue Totem. Or Flame Tongue Weapon. I should always have Flame Tongue Weapon on my weapon, but yeah, and then the other talents, I suppose, for this row. I think all of these talents could be really fun. Storm Flurry is mainly the passive one, but I still think that would be neat to have a chain attack, basically, of Storm Strike going off and off each time you press that. And then Hot Hand, I think this one could also be fun because your auto attacks with Flame Tongue Weapon have a chance to reset the cooldown of Lava Lash or reduce it by 75%, so almost reset it, and then also increase the damage of your next Lava Lash, double it. There's also a talent actually in the first row that you could go kind of based off that, and that increases the damage, or Lava Lash increases the damage done by Flame Shock, so they kind of synergize, I suppose. If I were to pick Hot Hand, I would probably want Lashing Flames because they're both very synergistic with Lava Lash and using that. Forceful Winds, I guess I picked that just as a passive. Just using Wind Fury attacks increase the damage of Wind Fury, so a little bit of a passive damage boost. I don't know the comparison between like Lashing Flames, again, between those two. But that one sounded fun, even though it doesn't really impact what I do. Same with Lashing Flames, I guess. You know, I could have a slightly higher priority, I guess, of Lava Lash maybe, but I'm not even sure on that. And then Elemental Blast, this is actually something I did test out the last stream we did, or not the last stream we did, but the last stream where I played Shaman, so my first stream checking out the Shadowlands pre-patch. I was messing around with, I think, Elemental Blast and a few other talent choices actually. This again is a class I've played probably actually the most on stream since the Shadowlands pre-patch, with like 2 whole streams before this one. But anyway, Elemental Blast, that I thought sounded fun, but the main problem with it is I kind of use it instead of lightning bolt usually, and sometimes when Maelstrom weapons gets to 5 stacks, it makes all 3 of those skills, lightning bolt, chain lightning, and elemental blast, instant cast. I think it also makes healing surge if I wanted to heal, but it was just something competing for the same thing is what it felt like. It didn't really add something new, it didn't feel like to me, so that's why I didn't pick that one even though it's an active skill. And then for the other ones, I actually tried Hailstorm for a while, and that was nice, I suppose. So yeah, each time you consume Maelstrom weapon stacks, you increase the damage of your next Frost Shock by a lot. It actually made Frost Shock very strong after consuming all 5 stacks of Maelstrom weapon. But it's still something I would use like Frost Shock anyway, is kind of what I felt like. And I also tried Fire Nova as well. That was one of the ones we first tried. And I think with that one, it was still something fun, but compared to using other abilities, it would give me one more ability, I suppose, with a 13-second cooldown, but it's not all that frequent. And then I picked Elemental Assault, at least that's the latest one I'm testing out, because Storm Strike generating 1 stack of Maelstrom weapon would just mean I get the instant cast for Lightning Bolt, or just use Lightning Bolt, I guess, a little bit more frequently was the idea of that. Let's see, any other skills? And I guess I would have to actually get level 50. This is my character closest to level 50. I'm already halfway from 49. I didn't even realize I was that close to the level cap, but there are possibilities that the last talent row, I think, could smooth out that rotation. Kind of the parts I mentioned with the cooldowns. All my skills just having a cooldown at the same time and it being super weird because the rest of the time it's usually either smooth feeling or I just have a lot of options open. But something like Ascendance, I don't think that would help rotationally too much. And then Earthen Spike, that is probably the shortest cooldown one here, I think. Let's see, Feral Spirits could become a 1.5 minute cooldown. So apparently my Feral Spirits are imbued with Fire, Frost, or Lightning, enhancing my abilities. Also, Feral Spirits, they actually generate a stack of Maelstrom weapon and then 1 every 3 seconds. I didn't even realize that. It just seemed like, I think last time I got a lot of Maelstrom weapon, but I didn't know that was why. Ooh, and it looks like the next dungeon is already ready. I'm surprised the Burning Crusade dungeons, maybe people do actually like these, but I'm just surprised the queues are so short these past 2 streams I've done. I expected to do a lot of downtime basically waiting for queues with the dungeons. But yeah, once again for the last row, I think Earthen Spike could have the potential at least to change the rotation, maybe make it a little bit more fluid feeling. At least in long-term fights, long duration. I wonder... Yeah, I was kind of wondering what the other passives would be. But it looks like just Chain Lightning. Oh, each target hit by Chain Lightning reduces the cooldown of Crash Lightning by 1 second. That could be good to help AoE. So it looks like I finally have a new dungeon. I've run all these dungeons, it seems like I've run so many on repeat. So having a new one to do is nice. And I am asleep. Very exciting way to start a dungeon, but this is the Mechanar. This is also one of the ones I've run probably least frequently, and I think I pulled an extra group when I got knocked back there, hopefully. Actually, I should use my stun. Well, they got a quick heal on me, the healer. But yeah, just getting used to, I think, the enhancement AoE. I mentioned I wanted to test all the elemental AoE, but I do need to get used to enhancement AoE. I find it fun, but the main thing is, like, not spreading Flame Shock. For some reason, I'm just used to spreading Flame Shock with Lava Lash. I don't remember exactly when they got rid of that. I don't know if it was still in Legion or if it... Is there Earth Elemental? And a Fire Elemental. I think. Do we have another Enhancement Shaman? We have another Shaman at least. Yeah, it looks like they're Elemental, which is what, again, I'm going to be testing. Might go through the first boss as an Enhancement and then switch to Elemental. Kind of bouncing around a lot on this class, but it's okay. I've basically confirmed that Flame Shock does not get spread to other targets when I use Lava Lash. I know I've run this dungeon. I do recognize it, but I might even have run this one less than even the Alcatraz. It might just be my least run dungeon. I feel like when there was time walking, whenever I would play like during Burning Crusade time walking events, I feel like this one was frequently chosen for that. I keep using Crash Lightning instead of Flame Shock on accident. Oh, is this the boss? I honestly did not even realize this was the boss. I don't know why I was taking damage. It could have just been some effect. Still trying to find if anything is going on. Oh, I could interrupt that. I need to get my interrupt on a keybind. Probably put it. We'll go with something like that for now. So it'll be shift 4. I'll make it shift 3. Okay, so we got through the first boss. Now I will switch to Elemental and test that out a little bit. We have 3 shamans, including me. That would be the Enhancement Shaman. And there's an Elemental Shaman. So we have 3 Shaman DPS. I thought I saw an Enhancement Shaman, then I clicked him and he had Maelstrom, so I thought it was just an Elemental Shaman. Oh, Chain Lightning has a longer duration than I expected, at least. Arcane Tome. That is a green item, but yeah, if I remember correctly, it did not actually sell to a vendor. I don't remember the exact use for that, I just remember it being a thing. I think we still have some ads I should probably be helping deal with. See, I think we actually got rid of all that, so I did not need to cast Chain Lightning there. I'm also surprised I used all the... Oops, I missed the Flame Shock there. I'm surprised I used all the Ice Fury charges for Frost Shock in that.
I don't have a target.
Hello, Invalid Shortcut. I play on a US server on Argent Dawn US, which I know has been overtaken actually by the EU. That was not a boss. For some reason I thought that was a boss, but it seemed weird that it would be a boss, but the first boss location actually seemed weird. But yeah, I play on the Argent Dawn US server, which I know is less popular now than the Argent Dawn EU server. Back in the day, some people actually played on the server, I think. Looks like the other Elemental Shaman's using, or he used Chain Lightning a lot. I don't know, again, the priority, like with a small target of AoEs, like using Lava Burst versus Chain Lightning. It would probably have to be a lot of enemies. Chain Lightning can hit 5 total targets and that'll do roughly 1,000 damage. Versus Lava Burst, which actually has a guaranteed crit if I have Flame Shock on the target. And I think that crits a little bit over 1,000, so probably roughly comparable between the two. And I feel like more than a lot of other classes, though, I'm stuck looking at my keyboard to see like what's on cooldown, or even looking at my buffs and all that stuff. Like I'm just using my eyes to look a lot more around the screen rather than actually what I'm doing compared to some of the other classes, it seems like. I think I'm getting those explosions a little close to me. Ooh, our healer. I think when the priest goes into that form they die, but I'm not even 100% sure. Yeah, it looks like it. An invalid shortcut, you asked if I chose my class for Shadowlands. I have not yet. I will, assuming I even buy Shadowlands, I have not bought Shadowlands, or like pre-ordered it, I guess. And I'm not 100% sure I will play in Shadowlands content right away, but assuming, oh, I'm a little bit lost, okay. Assuming I do go through and buy it, I am not 100% sure on the class I need to use. Oops. Oh wait, we need to go. Well, what I do know is I need to get this quest item. I gave 12 gold to pick up whatever had that quest item. They go upstairs? I think us 3 shamans are lost. There we go. Found some other people. I got totally lost there because I followed one person and I got a quest item there, so it's at least helpful to go there, but
I don't have a target.
and he said not me, he no. I'll just call you probably not me for now on, but you were thinking about playing Shadowlands, but then you just go back into Lotro. Yeah, it's a little bit weird, I guess, because I just got back into WoW a little bit. Of course, I still do Lotro, and I need to, or I just felt like I need a little bit of a break from Lotro. I was also excited to test all these different classes in Shadowlands with WoW, and it seemed like, at least with a couple of WoW streams I've done, that people enjoyed that, so I thought I could make a whole event out of it, I suppose, like a little mini-series on my channel. So I'll see, again, how it goes, and see if I will eventually be interested in fully, like, going through all the Shadowlands content, basically. I'm very not much interested in the story going on there. I think there could be some cool side stories and stuff going on. Usually there's a lot of good stuff with that, I think, in WoW, but kind of the main storyline with Sylvanas, I have just zero interest in that. In fact, it kind of just turns me off WoW a little bit. Wonder what our healer died from there. Somebody had an in-combat res. Actually we have a druid tank. Except they're level 30. I'm not sure if they have rebirth at that level. They might, though. Okay, so we got the third boss over here. Now it looks like we go back. Yeah, I feel like I've done enough with Elemental, so I'll probably try Enhancement a little bit more again, just to get more of an idea, I guess, with the rotation, the gameplay, because the 2 classes I was considering, what I was actually thinking was I would make a new Shaman and level it through, like, the updated Shadowlands leveling, whatever era I chose to level that character in, and do that actually as, like, a stream series on YouTube here. But the other consideration would actually be going through Shadowlands content, assuming I get that again, doing that on the Shaman and then actually making a new mage. I'm still thinking probably level a Shaman, that's the big thing I'm testing with this character, but yeah, just seeing how it will be, how the gameplay will be at higher level, I suppose. And I need to put Wind Fury Weapon back on my main hand. I don't know why the Flame Tongue stays on my offhand, but yeah. Again, I think oh no, that was actually on Elemental that I wanted to try something else. Could try Fire Nova. Try getting that again. So this is another boss. Oh, the boss has a fire elemental. I thought that was actually our shaman's fire elemental. Ooh, Astral Shift. That does not do what I thought it did, but it's okay. I'll take reduced damage. And these ads have a lot of health, actually. It seems like. I assume we need to kill them. Maybe we just need to run away from them. Not sure. 100%. Well, I have done this dungeon. It's just been so long. Seems like to me we would need to kill the ads, but... oh, sure. Hello Abdullah, you said you wish Lotro had the same add-on support as well and automatic matchmaking for dungeons. Yeah, that's one of the very nice things with the dungeons. I'll get to add-ons in a minute, but with the quick dungeon finder, it's super easy to just like quickly boot up a dungeon and get into group content no matter what level you are. With Lotro, it takes a long time to form a group, and you even have to deal with just the separation of character levels. At level 130 it might be relatively easy, like at the level cap, to search for the new dungeons, except even then you have to worry about your gear and all the other stuff going on with that. Yeah, so the fire elementals just died after we killed the boss, but that was the first longer boss fight, I think. And it looks like I got basically the same helmet I looted from the last boss. Or the last dungeon, rather. But yeah, I think if Lotro had a dungeon finder and automatic matchmaking working with that, I would probably enjoy spending my time in it a little bit more. I know some people don't like the dungeon finder in general with WoW, or don't like that idea, but I think it just makes it a lot easier to get into group content, and especially getting people together. But one of the problems with Lotro and that, I think, is there are a lot of different roles for the characters. For the classes, you have like support, you have a certain type of support, like buffing support, like the Blue Line Captain maybe, which does have some healing, but it's not like as strong as a fully dedicated healer. And you even have the Yellow Line Lore Master, which has some debuffs, but they also have a couple heals, but they're still not going to be even as much healing as a Blue Line Captain, and definitely not a primary healer. So having an automatic matchmaker account for that would be perhaps a little bit hard, I think. Whereas with WoW, it's just one tank, one healer, and the rest are DPS. And that's pretty straightforward, I think. Really, I was actually hoping to stream Lotro yesterday, but I just did not have enough time. I've mentioned in a few of my recent things that I've done on the channel. I wonder what target needs to be in front of me. Was I too far ahead of him or something? But yeah, my kin actually did the Baird Goldur raid at level 95, and I was able to join a little bit, and I basically played for the last hour of the raid. But yeah, just didn't get into it quite early enough for me to have it be like a stream, basically. But I feel like I've needed a break from the high-level content in Lotro. I already mentioned this, but Yeah, it was kind of wearing down on me a little bit, I guess, so I think having a break from that would be good. I also actually do have a few Lotro videos planned. Problem is, I'm extra busy the next couple weeks, and they're only planned right now. I have to still go through the whole, like, regular video process with those. And I think we're at the last boss. I wonder... I have another shaman here. I wonder if they don't have heroism, which is possible, so hopefully I can use it right now. Okay. Sometimes bosses phase, so that's why I'd be a little bit worried about. Just basically wasting the strong heroism buff. And Abdullah, you said for the classes I mentioned they can lock them into specific roles. I think they could do that. I think it would be manageable for Standing Stone Games to implement a dungeon finder that actually works. The one they had, they actually did have one, but it was kind of hard to navigate, and a lot of people didn't use it, partially because it didn't work. It didn't actually properly build the groups, but I think they could manage to make the groups like properly build. So I'm going to leave the dungeon and come back so I can get, at least I think you can teleport right back to the dungeon. But that'll be a quick way for me to turn in the quests. I think I picked up a couple quests if I remember correctly. Some like time walking. Oh, is this a time walking campaign? What? I have no idea what this bar is. Is it for getting level 50? It says you will be removed from the time walking campaigns and sent back to your capital city. More adventures wait there. I guess there is no reason for me to quest since I'm at the level cap, but I would at least like to stay in this area. I guess this character I won't really take out of whatever city. As long as it doesn't take me to battle for Azeroth, I am happy. An invalid shortcut, you said you don't like that WoW and Final Fantasy XIV have instant teleport to dungeons. You like the travel part in an MMO, but this is better than nothing. So yeah, I think that's one of the big things. Let's see what happens with this. I'll probably get sent to Stormwind. But that is one of the big reasons I think a lot of people don't quite like the dungeon finder in WoW as much compared to like classic WoW where you had to search a group. But yeah, it could be, they could have something where you get the group together and then you still have to like physically travel to the dungeon. And even with Lotro, it's actually kind of the opposite. You have to get the group together, but then you can instantly teleport to the dungeon. You still don't have to travel. Some of the instances you do have to discover once to be able to do it, or do some sort of deed like that. It looks like I got my level 50 talent, so I'll have Earthern Spike. It would have been nice if I leveled up in the middle of that just to test, so I just want to maybe go to a training dummy real quick and see how Earthern Spike plays out a little bit. I'm guessing I'll put it right here. Could put it in front of the shocks, but I think this is a better location. Let's see, there are training dummies somewhere around here. Here they are. Kind of hard to see, buried in the trees. What does Earthern Spike even do? Increases the damage you deal to the target by 20%. I know it does a lot of damage up front, it looks like. Not quite as much as Storm Strike maybe, but... it looks like the cooldown on that could be just about short enough to like make there be no downtime basically. Oh yeah, with Classic WoW you said there's an add-on for looking for group, and yeah, with that, so I played Classic WoW and leveled to 60 on my mage and leveled a few alts and did dungeons. There are a lot of different things I think than back with the way it was in vanilla with that. A lot of people like searching for groups, so I think I'm going to switch to Paladin next and get queued for a dungeon, check out the Retribution spec. So we did Shaman, I'll summarize my thoughts on that while I get queued up here, but yeah, with Classic it was just a little bit weird, I think. What's this Hero's Call board? Oh, different Darkshore. That's like super weird. They have 2 Wrath of the Lich King zones, and then suddenly, actually the Storm Peaks, that's a zone here, right? Yeah, Storm Peaks. Anyway, they have 2 Wrath of the Lich King zones, and suddenly it's like Darkshore, the 9 elf level 10 something zone. But anyway, with Classic, I actually don't even remember what I was going on about that. But I felt like it was almost like there was essentially a dungeon finder, but you still had to run to dungeons. It's kind of almost how it felt like it played out. Everybody was always searching and looking for group when I played, and I've also heard that people don't really run dungeons anymore in that, at least on some servers it sounds like all the leveling dungeons, and that's actually one of the things I liked about that, was running all the dungeons like on level. But to get summarizing some of my thoughts on the Shaman as I talk throughout, I overall still enjoy Shaman. I think I definitely enjoy Enhancement. I think I might do a new character with Shaman and maybe do that as a stream series. I feel like there might be too many things I'm putting in of my list of things to do, but maybe in the future that's something I could do on my channel. And otherwise, right now we have to check the Paladin, and the Paladin is a class I have enjoyed sometimes. I think it's a little bit weird now, but I have some quests in Howling Fjord here. This one's in Wrath of the Lich King. So I kind of forget how it plays now, but there are a few things I didn't like about it in Legion. There are a few things I did like about it, and even in the updates before that, like Cataclysm or whatever, or not Cataclysm, but Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor. It was just kind of mixed with me. I felt like the spec sometimes would be good feeling and sometimes not. And to me right now, a big problem is it actually plays somewhat similar to Enhancement Shaman in a way. Holy Power, I feel like almost acts like Maelstrom used to back when Enhancement Shaman had Maelstrom. But to me, it just doesn't feel quite smooth all the time. Kind of like Enhancement Shaman, I think, can. That's kind of my quick thoughts on Paladin right now. From the tiny bit, I think I played another character actually, another Paladin I had. My lower level one to test things out. So this will be a higher level one. I have like Wake of Ashes. I know my other one did not have that. This is a long cooldown skill to generate a lot of holy power quickly. And apparently does a lot of damage. And my outfit on this character is kind of thematic for the era I'm doing, Wrath of the Lich King. I think the sword itself for the transmog doesn't look all that great, but I got everything to be like thematic blue at least. I really don't know. It looks like Bladed Justice could be a high priority skill, but I also think Judgment, yeah, it just makes them take 25% increased damage, so maybe even Blade of Justice is the highest priority for Holy Power builders. Wow, that was a super quick dungeon queue as well. So Abdullah, my sword is a transmog, and I can see, there's my Grand Expedition Yak. I could see what it is, but we got into the dungeon. I can give you the name of it, but it's a pretty plain sword, I think. I just have it with whatever blue enchantment. Oh, we got Caverns of Time, something. Cooling of Stratholme, so this is a fun one. Thematic one for a Paladin, I suppose, in a way. There's a lot of undead and things like that here, which, speaking of undead, Wake of Ashes actually is a tiny bit more effective against undeads, and then it stuns them. Dispelling Illusions. So this dungeon does take a little bit to start. There's, as somebody actually mentioned in the instance chat, there's a lot of roleplay in here. So it takes a little bit of time to get started. It'll give me an opportunity to settle down maybe with the Paladin a little bit more. So we need to use these little arcane disruptors on these boxes is what people's doing, and I just accidentally dismounted. I was trying to just click that. I thought you had to actually target it in an area, but you just click it near the box. So, invalid shortcut, you said when you finish the intro quest for the Death Knight, which I think they updated. I actually don't know what the intro quests for the Death Knight are anymore. I should maybe try that eventually. And hello, Carolina. Shark Conservancy. And then you said the full set for the Death Knight, it looks similar to that sword. Yeah, I can actually, let's go to my Grand Expedition, yeah. I can see what the actual transmog is. It is called Jagged Turtle Shell Blade. That does not sound like Death Knight anything to me. I have a lot of swords, but not all of them are blue. I actually have a lot of one-handers. I don't even have that many two-handers. Considered using Ashbringer, but I really like the blue of the Jagged Turtle Shell thingy. I also have a blue polearm I could consider using.
Glad you could make it.
Watch your tone with
Forgot to turn in this quest.
but I'm still your superior as a paladin.
As if I could forget.
Oh, Carolina, you logged into your work account. That is okay. I thought that was a little bit of an odd name to be reading. Oh, Ardeth the Lore Seeker. I was kind of wondering who that would be if it was somebody I recognized a lot, but hello, Ardeth.
This entire city must be purged.
How can you even consider that? There's got to be some other
Yeah, we have to wait for Arthas to do, or Uther. Arthas. Oh, there's both Arthas and Uther. It's been a little while for me to know what's going on here.
my king yet. Nor would I obey that command even if you were.
Then I must
I
consider
forgot that we had our different auras. I gain Avenging Wrath when a party raid member dies. That seems kinda like a not fun mechanic,
Lord Uther, by my right as
because
the sovereignty of my crown,
then you have to rely on somebody else dying, like with your aura.
suspend your
I guess Devotion aura would be the general one if there's not another Paladin. We have another Paladin though, so he's probably using
those of you who have the
Protection aura. Actually, he's using the Mount one.
The rest of you, get out of my sight.
Eventually we'll go up into here, into, I guess, Drathholm.
I'm sorry, Arthas. I can't watch you.
So Ardeth, you said you run the social media for your work and you must have logged on your phone today and then forgot to log off. That is okay. I have like a work type account, but not really with YouTube or anything.
Take position here, and I will lead a small force.
But yeah, I
inside
don't know
Stratholme.
where I was going with that, but
We must
that is
clear
okay.
and purge the infected for the sake of all of Lordaeron.
we'll get to the actual gameplay. I feel like I could talk about the gameplay when it's going on a little bit better. Maybe I'll look at my talent choices, since that is something I realized I have not done yet. So in general, for anybody unfamiliar, as I've said throughout these two streams so far, the first part and the second part, is I choose my talents for fun rather than their performance. The performance matters a little bit for me, but as if something's super fun and like does low damage, I don't really care too much about that part. So just to look at the talents, actually the second row, that's something I'll have a lot to complain about in a minute, but with the first row, I think with the Paladin, I try to create like a smooth rotation. So having another Holy Power Consumer on a minute cooldown, that does not sound like an exciting thing to me, even though Execution Sentence could be. And Arthas, you said you're glad I'm on WoW because you've been wanting to come back. You played since launch and quit at Warlords of Draenor, and you mained a Warlock. Warlock is a class I got to on the last stream. I thought Warlock was surprisingly fun with that, but today you started the character creation screen for like 30 minutes. Yeah, I could totally get taking that long to create a character. I usually take maybe 30 minutes to make my character, and then another few hours to come up with a name finally. That's why all of my characters on WoW, all my really old characters I made when I was like way back, a lot younger, they have weird names. Like this character is supposed to be Lucy, like just the female version of the name Louis.
Die by my hand and serve as your slaves.
But it spells, I guess, more like lousy before I even knew that.
Mal'Ganis will send out some of his scourge minions to interfere with us.
But with the talents, it looks like we started to get some enemies, so I don't know if we can quite run through this yet. Looks like not. I'll try to follow and keep up with these people. But yeah, the talents, I thought Zeal sounded the most exciting because my auto attacks can occur 30% faster. And there's something with my auto attacks. Let's see. My auto attacks with Art of War, my auto attacks have a chance to reset the cooldown of Blade of Justice. Blade of Justice is a good holy power builder, so I thought that sounded exciting. Let's use Wake of Ashes. So Art of Thief narrowed it down to Hunter, Mage, or Warlock. I did both Mage and Warlock, did a lot of the casters the first part. And today I will not be getting to Hunter. I think it shows all in the title, the Shaman, Paladin, then we'll get to Monk next. And Death Knight is what I mean by DK, not Donkey Kong, as I often think. Whenever I like shorten Death Knight to DK, it always makes me think of Donkey Kong. So I always feel like I'm playing Donkey Kong when I'm playing a Death Knight. I think Meat Hook. Actually, I don't know where he is. There, we have to wait for, yeah. I don't know that we had to wait for them, but eventually we'll get Meat Hook. If I remember correctly, he might run the other way. It's been so long since I've done this again. I actually like this dungeon besides kind of the slowness with how it builds up. Oh, we have Scourge Waves. That's what we're doing, okay. Abdullah, you're torn between Lotro and WoW. You started playing Lotro recently and you enjoy it. Then you said Lotro needs a lot of upgrades and updates. Yeah, a lot of people, I think if you compare the two, a lot of people would agree there's just a lot more smoothness and polish to WoW. And kind of some quality of life improvements. It looks like we don't have another Skinner, I suppose. It's weird to be a Skinner Paladin, but I guess that's what this character is. Probably a Skinner and Miner, yeah. Oh, and Ardeth, you said Dragon Knight from ESO. I am not familiar with the Dragon... Well, I'm not familiar with Elder Scrolls Online and not familiar with the Dragon Knight. Sounds like a fun thing, actually, a Dragon Knight. Oops, there's still an enemy. I was trying to skin this. And then, Abdullah, you also said the landscape of Lotro is way ahead of WoW, and that is something I could also agree with in a way. I think WoW has some nice landscapes, but Lotro has some really nice ones. There's a lot, I think, of good environmental stuff built into WoW, and I think I can use Avenging Wrath. That is my cooldown. No, I don't know exactly what it does, but it increased my damage. I think I'll get Flash of Light, a heal to the tank. That healed for 4.3k, I crit that much. I don't know. It's like almost the tank's max health. There's a lot of flashing. I guess it's almost thematic for the Paladin. There's just like a lot of glowing flashing stuff, and it all flashes in yellow on your skill bar. Basically hit whatever is glowing, it seems like, if something pops up. That seems like the playstyle, at least. It's a little bit button mashy for me. I just feel like I'm pressing all the stuff whenever it's available, which may be similar to Enhancement Shaman, but I don't get the idea of that as much. This is kind of fun, but again, one of the things I talked about was there isn't much variety with the skills. I have, like, as far as weapon attacks, Crusader Strike, Blade of Justice, even Templar's Verdict, they all feel samey to me. And then there's Judgment, which is a little bit different. You have Concentration, what's a little bit different. Consecration, rather, not concentration. That's just what I used to call it before I even knew those were two different words. Actually, I don't even know if it was that I never knew those were two different words. I just thought this always said concentration. Okay, so we actually have more Scourge Waves. I don't remember if we get another boss. We might at the end of this. And then I know we go run through the whole thing and get Mal'Ganis at the end. I do at least get what the spec why people could find it fun. Oh, it actually shows my holy power there. I did not even realize that. I actually don't even know how I got that on. I must have hit a button or something to accidentally turn the health bar mana there. Oh no, it must have. I think it goes on in combat, which makes more sense, so you don't have to maybe look at your skill bar quite as much or look at your buffs or whatever. So, invalid shortcut, you are doing, on your Warlock, you're doing all quests from Vanilla to Shadowlands. That will be a journey. You should definitely get to the level cap doing that. If you're doing them all on that same character. I plan on, through alts, maybe eventually doing all the different expansions. I don't think we've had, it looks like we do actually have a flag there now, but I was going to say we didn't have a Scourge Wave like all the way to the west, at least that I remember that I paid attention to. But it looks like we did finally get one over here. Oh, apparently there are regular enemies in this, and I did not even realize. I just knew there was the big golem. I'll actually use Eye for an Eye here, and could bubble myself, I suppose. Looks like all turned out okay, but yeah, I was not ready to take all that aggro because I thought all the little enemies were just these tiny little zombie things. Probably get the Necromancer first. Yeah, unfortunately over time this is almost similar to Champion in a way in Lotro. The classes are different, of course. But I almost feel like just over time I quickly get bored of the Paladin gameplay again with the whole variety, but I am actually finding it more boring than, say, the previous class I played, the Shaman, and just compared to the other classes, even maybe the other melee ones, I've only played, at least in these streams, one other, well I guess two other melee classes. I did do Feral Druid, but did not expect to like that and still didn't like it. But compared to other melee classes, as in Enhancement Shaman, it's definitely gets more boring over time compared to that, I think. That's what I'm kind of feeling like with this, unfortunately. I don't know, like watching it, but actually playing it, there's just not much to it. It feels like a lot of repetition, which is true with every class that they're like that. I don't know. Just trying to explain, I guess, a little bit, try to find out myself why it feels like that to me. Because it's fun, it's just fun in short bursts, I suppose, which is exactly how I feel about the Champion and Lotro. I think I just silenced him for no reason, or interrupted him for no reason. Actually wonder, concentration, probably better to use Crusader Strike, especially in single target. We did get some little ads, but there were so little they already died. And I got a cloak, I assume. Yeah, that would be a cloak. This is, so my, I guess the cloak I have is the, actually whatever that's called, heirloom one. The one I looted was for tanking. That's a little bit odd. I thought everything was supposed to go, yeah, for your spec, which is retribution, but maybe it doesn't go like that. So we have to wait for, what's his name, to get here, and then we'll run through. Usually groups, I think, run through by now. He like, a little bit of spoilers. This has been out for so many years, so shouldn't be too much of a spoiler, but basically he turns these guys into evil things.
This city will be cleansed. Follow me. I know the way through. A small sacrifice for the greater good. Yes.
Rare breed. I thought I saw rare breed somewhere. That is actually a kin name I recognize from The Lord of the Rings Online on Arkenstone. Rare breed, I'm pretty sure it's an Arkenstone kin. I thought I recognized that name, but this guy is in a rare breed guild here in WoW. Yeah, these, I think these are not technically undeads, they are technically dragons. Or they were dragons as Stratholme citizens. Not 100% familiar with the lore going on here. So Abdullah, you said the classes in Lotro are more engaging and fun than WoW, and that's actually one thing I would agree with some of the classes, he said, except for hunters in Lotro. The hunters in WoW, I'm not, so far not a big fan of them. We'll actually get to testing them in the next stream I do, but yeah, that is one of the things I really like about Lotro. There's a lot more variety in the roles, variety between the classes, there's a lot of uniqueness between them and just differences. And they just have so much more going on to them. It's one of the reasons I actually like playing Lotro so much, is all that with the classes. Especially if I compare to WoW, like comparing to the Paladin here, I'm just, there's not too much to engage me in that.
Let's move on.
But if I compare to like a class like Shaman and WoW, they have a lot of variety. They're similar to the Runekeeper in a way, but they use like all the elementals at once, no matter all the elements. They use some elementals, but they use all the elements at once. Compared to Lotro, where the Runekeeper runs back into fire or lightning, and then they all have frost, but the Shaman in WoW has lightning, fire, and frost. And then even has like, you can get elemental blast, which is just full of a bunch of elements. You even have like earth, which is a little bit lightning, I suppose. And yeah, I think not me, just overall there's more to it with the classes in Lotro. And while they're very specialized, which can be good, but at least with the Paladin here, the kind of thing I'm feeling with that is it's so specialized, and I don't know, I'm just not feeling as much to it, to put in the same words you did with this class. And I'll hopefully have a series of videos coming up actually talking about this, but it's one of the things that almost frustrates me in Lotro, and is one of the reasons I actually am taking the short little couple days break from it, is that I just wish it was easier to run group content and you didn't have to go through all these different grinds. A game like WoW, you don't have to go through to do group content or get to end game. You do, of course, have to build all your characters up and level them. That's kind of stuff I would expect, but I have a lot of my characters in Lotro over level 100, which is pretty close to level 130, and you can level them really quick if you just like farm XP. But the thing is, you need to, I did not mean to use the spinny thing there, Divine Storm. But the thing is, you need to worry about trait points, getting your allies up. You have to, for me the big one's trait points, but you also do have to get your allies up, you have to get virtue XP, and all that stuff to be able to run group content. There's something when this effect goes on, and I have no idea what it actually is. It's been so long since I've run this dungeon, I forgot all the little mechanics to it. If there's even any we need to pay attention to. I just remember the structure of the dungeon, basically. Gonna give the tank a heal. Or tried to, I think that was too short. Give the shaman a heal. Oh, use my bubble. He turned and attacked me. He didn't do that like almost one-shot thing against me though. This looks like a good feast.
Quickest path to Mal'Ganis lies behind that bookshelf ahead.
I can't even tell what this is. It looks like it's supposed to be like chicken legs, like drumsticks, but
I believe this secret
they're
passage
huge.
still works.
Oh, we're already going through the bookshelf. And I'm riding an elephant in here, because that makes sense.
Let's move through here as quickly as possible. If the undead don't kill us.
This dungeon, I think, is fun. That's one of the things I like about WoW. Lotro does have fun instances, I think, but again, with WoW, just the whole dungeon finder and accessibility, how easy it is to boot them up. It's one of the nice experiences I've maybe been missing with Lotro that I'm finding fun, just rediscovering these classes. I really do enjoy the ability to just like boot up these instances and super quickly go through them. Even now, the queue times have been like, I'd say 5 minutes. It seems like the 3 dungeons I've done so far. I don't know, I feel like I'm just repeating myself from earlier, but it is definitely something just thinking about right now with this dungeon. It is super nice that I am able to do that compared to WoW. Say Wrath of the Lich King maybe is comparable to Isengard, Rohan. I don't know quite Mirkwood. I guess Mirkwood even with Lotro, but first of all, the Isengard instances don't actually scale the Rohan, Riders of Rohan instances, and the whatever one, the Mirkwood, that's the other one I mentioned, the Mirkwood instances, they all scale, so you can run them like at the level cap, or at least if you manage to get a group all the same level, whoever range between 65 and 130. Forgot there are 130 levels in Lotro for a minute, but it's just so much more difficult to do something like that without a very concentrated effort, like getting, like I have the kinship on Honor, we do some of that stuff. I just mentioned we ran Baird Guldur, at least I did like the second half of it last night. It's just a lot harder. You can have 2 devotion auras going on. One reduces damage taken by 3% and the other increases the armor. Huh. I guess the tank one increases the armor. I could go Retribution Aura. Do we have 3 Paladins? Devotion Aura, Crusader Aura. We might actually have 3 Paladins. No, we have 2.
We must move again.
I guess the other tank switched to Crusader Aura. I just switched to Retribution Aura. But they still had like the benefit going on with Devotion Aura. That guy took long to kill. There's also a lot of smoothness, so just thinking about the skill I just used, the combination I used Divine Steed and running through, basically on a mount-like thing. If you were to run it and say even on your worst steed in Lotro, if you could use it there. And just quickly stop and like dismount just by pressing a regular skill. Usually there's a lot of lag or rubber banding going on, thinking specifically of the war seed, but even the regular mount, like pressing a skill on WoW will just dismount me. I think it even dismount you if you try to use one on a mount. On a regular mount, perhaps Divine Steed wasn't the best thought for that, or best comparison for that.
We're going to finish this right now, Mal'Ganis. Just you.
I need to turn a light on. I guess I'll do it after this boss, actually. It's like, I guess it's 5:30 my time, but it's already getting dark outside, especially with the time change we've recently had to when we went to standard time. Wow, I can use a ton of those. Whatever skill I just used, Templar's Verdict. Now I'm asleep. Could actually give myself Divine Shield and I think go out of it. But I'll just wait this out. Putting somebody to sleep. And the good thing about this gameplay is I do have, even in this very long fight, I have something to do all the time. At least I enjoy that. I don't particularly like too much downtime, especially with a cooldown based class. Having just complete downtime of nothing to use bothers me a little bit. That's why I pick a lot of talents that help with that type of stuff. But yeah, it seems like at least with this class, even the criticism of it getting boring over time, it keeps up over long duration combat. I have an exhausted portal key. I have no idea what that is, but it's gray now and soulbound, and I can sell it for 10 gold, so that'll be nice. Alright, so I think this character was actually the first character I got the blue drake on. If I remember correctly, that was from this dungeon, the heroic version. Maybe it wasn't the blue drake, maybe it was some other drake, but I remember getting a mount specifically on this character during Wrath of the Lich King. I played probably my mage and shaman most, but I don't know, that was just something I really randomly thought of and remembered. Oh, it's the bronze drake, maybe. Is the bronze drake the one from that? But oh, I might be thinking of something else. The blue drake's the one from Malygos, maybe? That I got on this character? Maybe that was from Malygos, the Eye of Eternity raid. Okay, so maybe I'll finish this quest real quick just to finish it. And then we can switch to another class. I realize I've gone on the stream like an hour and a half already and only gone through 2 classes, but the Shaman did take a while. We did 2 dungeons on the Shaman. That dungeon even lasted a little bit longer. But yeah, I think I'll get to the monk next, which I think the monk I could run. Actually, I have no idea what that character's set up for, even if anything. I might still need to get Chromie time set up on him and go through. I don't know, I was thinking actually Mists of Pandaria, that'd be pretty thematic with the monk, or I could even do a vanilla instance. If I get a fun classic instance, it would be good, I think, but oh, I leveled up apparently. I wonder if I got anything good. Blessing of Sacrifice, reduces damage you take from Blessing of Sacrifice. Wait, I take damage from Blessing of Sacrifice? I don't even know what Blessing of Sacrifice is. There we go. Okay. I suffer 75% of the damage prevented. That is what it does. That's kind of, there are a lot of tank skills like that in Lotro actually. I think all of them can even get, or at least most of them. I know the Warden cannot. But you get a skill like that. I think even the Beorning's one is called Sacrifice. Oh, I can get a weapon. I wonder why my weapon, I am playing Retribution. I should have Ashbringer on this character. I wonder why I don't. Oh, I wonder if it's because I got the Legion, or not the Legion, but Battle for Azeroth, if you get the Heart of Azeroth, I think you had to like destroy your artifact or something. I don't know, maybe not, but I definitely had Ashbringer on this character. This is a DPS upgrade, but I do lose a little bit of stats. Actually, I don't know if that DPS upgrade, that seems pretty significant percent-wise, so I'll probably equip that. Oh, it actually upgraded to a rare, so probably definitely better now. I didn't even know stuff like that could upgrade. And Abdullah, you asked if there's a way to show vitals for all mobs regardless of selected or not. I don't think there is. I think the end key will turn on floating aims, but I don't think that shows the vitals. As far as I know, at least, there's not a way to do that. So I'll go to my monk next and queue up for a dungeon and talk a little bit about my monk experience. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there is a way. I probably have to go to Dalaran, and then I can go to Stormwind, turn on Chromie time, and we can try... Oh, it's kind of hard to decide. I feel like Mists of Pandaria would be so thematic for a monk, but I'm also in the mood for a good classic dungeon. I really like the classic dungeons, especially ones like Oldemon, which would take a long time to go through. But yeah, I think they're fun. But also the Mists of Pandaria ones are fun, I think. Get thematic towards this character. So I think I might... I really don't know. If you all have a preference for a type of dungeon, whatever expansion era type of dungeon you want to see, let me know. But I'll try to decide while I'm on my way there. For my monk experience, this is probably... I wonder what happened to my cloak. That is very weird. I feel like this character used to have a cloak. Well, I have a cloak, but I mean, actually have one like... Yeah, I had... Well, apparently this was my old transmog. I even had the hat. I'd probably want to take the hat off. Actually, I don't know. I have green hair, so it actually matches a little bit. I'm just not sure about the weapon. It matches. I'm just not sure that's a monk type weapon. Let me see if I have a good fist weapon. Aberrant Claws. That one's a little bit busy to me. Oh, Despair. Just looking for something that matches. Actually, a Stout Fist matches a little bit, but I don't like that fist weapon. An axe could be possible. No, I might go with the swords. That's just, again, a little bit weird for a monk. If I could use something like a staff, that would be pretty nice, I think, actually. I don't know with monk if you can still use like a two-handed weapon. And Abdullah, you want to see classic, so I can do that. Got distracted by my transmog for this character. But yeah, I'll go do... I can definitely do classic. Some of the dungeons from classic or vanilla that have been changed over time, I'm not as big of a fan of. So like Black Fathom Depths, Dead Mines, and even like Stockades. Stockades isn't bad now, but I preferred the old versions. But there are still some like Oldemon that I already mentioned in Zulfrak, and a few others that I would still be excited to get. And there's a lot of the high level ones that I haven't even touched on. Where is classic Cataclysm? You have to choose Cataclysm for that. Let's see, buttons to queue for dungeons. Random Cataclysm dungeon. I want to do random classic dungeon. I want to tank. We'll be, or I don't want to tank, I want to DPS. We'll be getting to some of the other stuff later. So to cover the talents I picked for this character, we'll see how fast the queue is. I'd almost expect it to be even shorter than Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King from earlier. But for my talent choices real quick, Chi Wave, the first row is basically stuff that deals damage and heals, I think. I don't know as far as like how much damage it deals, it's always going to be worth. Like using, maybe it's a low priority thing, especially comparing it to even Tiger Bomb. But yeah, that has a short cooldown, so I thought it'd help a little bit, make gameplay smoother, just be a filler. At least a 15-second cooldown filler. Celerity, that is for movement. Level 30... Wait, this is for movement. For the second row. And then Ascension, this one increases my chi by 1. I don't even think I care too much about the increasing the maximum chi, but the maximum energy and energy regeneration I think would help, especially compared to these other two. I even have one that could generate chi, which could be exciting, but it has a 30-second cooldown. That's a long cooldown, and it costs energy. Although I guess that's something when I need to generate chi. Wait, Tiger Palm has it has an 8% chance to make my next blackout kick cost no chi. I thought it just said it did that. I thought that was crazy. Anyway, yeah, there's that. And the level 35 and 40 row, both of these are more utility type talents. They don't actually affect the gameplay or combat as much, which would be two very boring level ranges, two very boring talents to get at the time, but that's what I have. And this character, oops, what did I hit? This character is level 42, so I don't have the 45 talent, and I also don't have the 50 talent. For the 50 talent, briefly, I think Whirling Dragon Punch probably sounds the most fun to me. It's just an instant skill that has a 21-second cooldown, but can't use it or can only use it when two of your other big skills are on cooldown. Yeah, so as far as this character goes, I wonder if you can go to like Elwyn Forest. I have to try this. It says level 1 to 50. So I gotta try to take this character to Elwyn Forest to level up. Rest and relaxation. Or I could even do Westfall. I know they've changed Westfall a ton. I used to like it. I might still like it. I don't know. I don't know. I'd even be interested to just try Elwyn Forest. I wonder what these things do. I have mining on this character. I will ignore most of that stuff so we can get on with a little bit of questing and maybe some actual gameplay. So these mobs are actually level 40. That is crazy. Hello, Eamon. You said you're glad to see me back on WoW, and Monk is really fun. Hopefully I find Monk fun as well. I think the mastery is to not use the same skill twice in a row, basically, and I think in Legion it actually chain a lot. Wow. I don't know, this is just super weird being in Elwyn Forest and these mobs doing damage where I have to worry a little bit, I suppose, about pulling a ton of them.
Hello. See you later.
Gives 775 XP. That seems very tiny, but my dungeon is ready. Let's see. Even the mobs in here are level 41. That is just weird. But yeah, Eamon, I'm glad that you are glad to see me back on WoW. And we can actually get Ragefire Chasm. I guess I knew that, but of all the dungeons I expected to run, I did not expect to run Ragefire Chasm. But yeah, I have played since Ragefire Chasm. You could get this queuing as an alliance. Guess I didn't need to use Fist of Fury. You can use Fist of Fury while moving. That I did not know. So spinning crane kicks damage is increased by 10% for each unique target you've hit recently. So I kind of remember that having to tab target basically throughout combat to do that. And then I think also it makes my next some other attack AoE. Maybe not. I thought it made like my next Rising Sun kick AoE. Abdullah, you are for the Horde. I need to play Horde side some. I've mentioned that I play Alliance because... Oh, I could use Touch of Death. Kind of forget about that skill as well. Out of range. You can also move while using Spinning Crane Kick, it looks like. But I play Alliance because that's what all my friends started when I played with, and I never actually bothered to ever switch. Okay, now let's try Touch of Death, which I should probably... That was a lot of damage, 6,000 something. I think it deals my health's worth of damage on the enemy. Need to use, I think, Rising Sun Kick over Blackout Kick, yeah. Because Blackout Kick also reduces the cooldown, actually, of Fist of Fury and Rising Sun Kick, it looks like. Okay, Fist of Fury lasts a long time. I was not ready for that. I wonder, I sometimes seem to be just like randomly generating chi. Because I think Rising Sun Kick's supposed to cost 2 and Blackout Kick's supposed to cost 1, but I'm still like generating chi somehow during all that. Okay, so we are almost at a boss and I can use my cooldowns. Oh, that's actually Invoke Zuin, the White Tiger. I did not know that would actually invoke an actual tiger there. I thought it was just something like my character got a buff from it, basically. Oops. I think you're supposed to avoid that Inferno charge, but I guess it doesn't do enough for me to actually have to avoid it. I don't think I actually have something to use the same ability. So if you use the same ability twice, there used to be a little bit, not of a downside of that, but you basically did more damage if you used a different ability. I'm not repeating the same ability twice is what I mean. So Mastery Combo Strike. So your abilities deal 20 whatever percent. They deal more damage when they are not a repeat of the previous ability. So even if I use the same ability twice, like Tiger Palm, it's not like it sets back whatever skill I use after that, because even like Blackout Kick, if I use that after Tiger Palm, it'll still get the increased damage, but the second Tiger Palm wouldn't, basically. Which Tiger Palm itself doesn't deal much damage, especially comparing to like Rising Sun Kick. So I thought it used to work that you would like chain, hit combo. Actually, I think this is in a talent. Yeah, so each successive attack that triggers Combo Strike grants increased damage, 1% increased damage, and that stacks up to 6 times. So that's actually, I think, the way the Mastery used to work, is that you could keep using different abilities, and that might even have been... Actually, never mind. I thought that might have been an artifact thing. But at least that's the way I used to remember Monk, that you would never want to repeat the same ability twice. You get like a stacking buff. And I should probably pick some PvP talents to get rid of that. We are already at the second boss. I think with Monk, I've always found the tank spec to be the most fun. I never really disliked this DPS spec, but especially if I'm playing it now, I'm not sure it's something I very much so enjoy. I don't dislike it like a lot of the other energy consumers, at least the Feral Druid and some of what I remember about the other class, the Rogue, the big energy consumer one. I wonder if Spinning Crane Kick, even if that has that damage, deals 389. Still costs 2 chi though, so probably it's still not worth using compared to Blackout Kick at that, I guess. Raider's Countdown Timer. It sells for 25 gold, 24 silver, 23 copper. Oh, it's a Raider's Countdown Timer. So you have like 25 seconds and you're swapping around all your stuff. There are a lot of like random neat flavor stuff type things like that in WoW. I have no idea where I got that, but I have that, and it even has a nice amount of gold that it sells for. Kind of matches the theme of it. I also realize I haven't been using Touch of Death, so I'll use that. How much damage does Fist of Fury do? It does 1629 to the primary. I would guess it's worth using Fist of Fury over whatever this one is, Rising Sun Kick. Oh, I could actually use roll and go there. Almost worried about rolling off then.
Too far away.
It's a bit of a weird boss fight too. Really test the gameplay too much, but I still feel like that it's fun, but I don't even think like the Paladin that it gets boring over a short amount of time for me. But it's just not something that I think I would like to stick to. But it's good for people that like this playstyle, especially hitting different things all the time. It actually does make me think a little bit about what I'm using next instead of, say, using Tiger Palm twice in a row all the time, or even just managing my skills that cost chi here. I also realize I've basically not used Spinning Crane Kick ever since I started paying more attention to what I'm doing. Might need to use that more, I'm not even sure on that. But we are already at the last boss, so this class will probably go pretty quick. But kind of what I've done so far even confirms a little bit of what I thought before about the monk, it seems like. It's almost like Warlock in a way, that class is something that's just not for me to play all the time, even though I do find it fun. It's a little bit similar to that, although I must say if I compared the two, compared the Warlock and the Monk, I might prefer the Monk a little bit more right now. Or, what did I just say? What I meant was that I would prefer the Warlock a little bit more than the Monk right now. I don't know if that's what I just said, but for some reason I don't think that is what I said. Alright, so completed that. I got a ring, which I would guess is an upgrade. It's higher item level. And I also got a trinket, which is, well, besides my attacks having a chance to cause the burning, it's actually the same item level as that other green one. It's just, do I want haste or a chance for my attacks to burn enemies? And I think I want haste. Wonder if I'll get enough XP to level up. And I think I'm still low enough level that the heirlooms are still going to be fully effective, so I don't really care which one of those I get. Oh, it looks like I still have some messages about a PvP talent. Oh, I thought I'd keep picking ones. There we go. Oh, and I forgot to turn a light on. It really is getting dark now, so I will do that as I switch characters real quick. Actually, I need to fly to Stormwind just to get rested XP, even though I don't care too much about it. It's still nice to accumulate it. Alright, so we will go to Stormwind as I turn a light on. Alright, I am back. It's pretty quick to turn the light on. I should actually probably close my curtains though, so I'll actually have to get up while we can switch characters. So the next one I think is, oh, we're already on the last one, really? Next one is going to be Death Knight, and I have 2 specs to test with that. I have Frost and Unholy to test, so I'll probably run through dungeons on both of those, so I'll go ahead and get queued up and be back in a second. So I forgot to mute myself there. I went to unmute myself and I muted, but anyway, I am back here. And yeah, I got queued up. So with the Death Knight, I think I played this one actually a little bit. I did a Wrath of the Lich King dungeon on my Shadowlands pre-patch, the first stream, just checking out all the different things. So I thought for the Death Knight, I could help the Argent Crusade, as odd as that is. I wonder, can you actually go to... Do you actually go do this stuff? This used to be a part of the Death Knight's intro quest thing series. I think they changed that as well for the Death Knight. So, it's a bit weird. Also, what is going on with the mini-map here? And the map? Is this the class hall maybe for Paladins? Armory of the Silver Hand, Sanctum of Light. That makes me think it's the class hall for Paladins. Kind of remember a tiny bit that structure. Bat Handler.
What now?
Let's see where he goes. Oh, he cannot help humans.
Well met.
Griffin Master. I have a ton of flight pass. Wow. Where did all these come from? Especially on a Death Knight. I know I didn't explore all the old zones, but I guess it gives them to you automatically
How are you?
now. That's just a ton of those. But anyway, we can get moving on. I thought I could do some of these landscape quests again. A little bit weird for a Death Knight to be... Hello GSC Gold, you said I am in the class hall area. That's good to know I wasn't like going crazy about the minimap, or it's not like completely bugged with that. But a Death Knight working on getting rid of the undead when they use the undead a lot. Of course, and I'm not familiar with all these quests. I assume they've changed a lot of this over time, and it even looks like I got a quest to go visitors start there and the Brotherhood of Light, but I actually want to test out the Brotherhood of Light. Oh, the Death Knight gave me all the flight pass automatically. I kind of remember that now that you mention it. I wonder why this is iron. It seems like there should be like the last tier of ore, which is like not true silver, thorium maybe. Seems like that's what Eastern Plaguelands should have, because it used to be like a level 55 to 60 zone or something, if I remember correctly. I think that's what it is in classic WoW, actually. Yeah, this is the Death Knight intro area.
Be careful.
10 Scarlet Crusaders. Oh, that's super weird. But we can go... I am in the classic zone, but I actually queued for a... Well, this is not the one I ran. Okay, I did the other halls quest when I played the Death Knight again in the last stream. So I think I'll do Unholy first, because that's what I'm spec'd in. But to talk a little bit about my talents while we go through this. Again, I picked stuff that sounds fun. So Infected Claws, causing festering wounds. So for my goal, that just lets me consume more festering wounds and that type of stuff. Burning, I think this whole second row, there's a lot of more passive stuff. I'm not sure what all it does. I'm actually Epidemic. Ooh, what is that? So it's an AoE version of Death Coil, it seems like, for enemies struck by Virulent Plague. This is something my low-level Death Knight did not have when we played that on my first Shadowlands pre-patch stream. Because the other Death Knight, I played my Drano Death Knight, and he was like level, I guess, 30 something probably in the update. Oh, this is... So one, I wonder if I should switch these. Because this one will put the festering wounds, and this one consumes the festering wounds. And I think a problem... I do have Apocalypse, right? That is an actual skill, not something I need to get rid of. Out of range, can't do that yet. Maybe that is not a skill. I thought it was, because I thought, yeah, my low-level Death Knight did. Here, I'm going to just totally take that off and see what happens.
I don't have a target.
Oh, I need 4 festering wounds, maybe? It burst them. Unholy does use a permanent... Now I can use Apocalypse, okay. Unholy does have a permanent ghoul pet. Let's see, what was the other thing about it? So Dark Transformation, if that's what you saw, that actually transforms it into something else temporarily. This is super weird to me because I'm really not used to having Epidemic that like throws everything off a little bit. I think it's a fun skill, so every Virulent Plague deals AoE damage, but I'm just not used to actually having it. Then I think, so my Ghoul's Claw, another talent I have is, so this is Bursting of Festering Wound, gives me Runic Corruption, that actually reduces the cooldown of runes, or at least increases the cooldown recovery. But Pestilence, so Death and Decay actually can put Festering Wounds, I think, on enemies. So I'll spend probably a lot of time actually popping the Festering Wounds. This is such an interesting class, because this is not a type of class I would think I would like, but there's actually a lot of fun things I think going on about it. And I think it's a very thematic spec. So you put Festering Wounds on enemies, and then you burst them. As gross as that is. And then also you put Virulent Plague on enemies, and you cause an epidemic, so you just like make burst AoE damage from that. Yeah, this is, I think, more entertaining than my low level Unholy Death Knight. I think that really shows that. And GSC Gold, I never got to your message. You said Death Knight will be a raid main in Shadowlands. It's going to be really good, you think, in Shadowlands? That is good, because I'm actually surprised how much so far I'm enjoying this. I know we've only killed a few trash mobs so far, but even comparing some of the fun experiences I had on my low-level Death Knight, it's a little bit surprising for me. I always enjoyed, back in Wrath of the Lich King, when the class was added, even Mists of Pandaria a little bit, I always enjoyed usually the Frost spec a little bit more. I actually played that back when Frost could tank. That's a whole other story. But yeah. So Abdullah, you don't like pets in general, and you also don't like heralds. Well, that's a lot of AoE damage when you can get that. I think I can get the Serenite ore on this character. He is a miner. Oh, you mine with one hand now? They have updated the mining animation, it looks like, and that is weird.
I'm out of range. It's too far away.
And I really do like that Epidemic spell skill. I don't know if it'd be too much of a spell, but it's just something that adds, I think, a lot of theme and was that there? I think there's some word for that, but it just makes the gameplay a little bit more thematic feeling, and somehow that one skill actually changes my opinion of Unholy Death Knight a lot, on top of the other stuff that I do think is fun with it. Just surprisingly fun to me. But yeah, my other Death Knights, as I mentioned, I like Frost back one when it could tank, but also the DPS of it. So that is something I'm excited to see if I still like that, but Unholy is definitely fun right now. Also forget about Dark Transformation, because it's only a minute cooldown, so it's actually something I can use relatively frequently. Even Apocalypse I could use relatively frequently. So, Abdullah, if you don't like pets, yeah, you would perhaps like it if the Unholy Death Knight could choose to get rid of theirs. I know, like, Hunter and even Frostmage, I think, can get rid of their pets to gain some boosts. I really don't like that on Hunter. I like having pets. If I play, like, a class with a pet, I would much rather have the pet than not have it. But yeah, I don't think there's a talent kind of like those other classes I just mentioned to get rid of that. Actually, hold up. There might be something. I really don't remember. Maybe not, though. I don't actually see anything. I guess the biggest thing is I should actually get Epidemic going for all the AoE damage, because for every target, I think with Virulent Plague, Epidemic does AoE damage. It's almost like the old Fire Nova and Flame Shock with Untitled Shaman that I really like that we talked about earlier. That's almost how it seems like Epidemic actually works out, but with Outbreak you don't even need to spread it with like a Lava Lash type skill. Alright, hopefully we get those enemies. Here, I'm going to pull them anyway, because I need to mine that Serenite ore. Here's some AoE. Okay, I'm going to go mine that ore real quick. Oh, apparently they have a regular mob against them, so I'll use Dark Transformation. Let my pet be useful. Rock Collar. I wonder if you can change the name of these. I don't think you can. Probably changes, if I had to guess, it would change each time you actually use Raid's Dead. Let's try. Oh, I must dismiss him. Well, we'll maybe try later. I don't think I have a cooldown that... Oh, I actually do have Army of the Dead. I can probably use Army of the Dead and use it on a later boss in this. But the cooldown I have is Apocalypse. And maybe Dark Transformation. You could consider that cooldown. And then I think single target, yeah, I think Death Coil would be better. But yeah, get a ton of ghouls with Army of the Dead and Apocalypse going on. It's pretty exciting. No, I wonder... Okay, I do have a rune chain. I know the Death Knights have rune forging. I actually didn't know if I even had that on this guy. So, Abdullah, you said you play Frost because of that, what the pet? And you only played Unholy back in the Wrath of the Lich King days. I don't even remember how Unholy fully played back out. I remember I enjoyed it even though I liked Frost more, I think. Death Knight is the only new class I've really liked in WoW since they've added classes. Demon Hunter is probably my least favorite class. We'll get to testing that later, but I don't know, that's always been my least favorite class ever since it was added. And then this, if I put sockets in it, should be pretty good. I think I can get, I've heard you can get the gems for those in the auction house. I don't remember, it might have actually been Eamon from earlier who gave me that tip last time. Yeah, in AoE, I just really find the Unholy Death Knight fun, though. In single target, it did seem to get a little bit slow feeling, maybe. It wasn't, like, particularly bad, but it was almost similar to Enhancement Shaman, where there'd just be a little bit of downtime. Downtime for different reasons, because this spec has, like, runic power as a consumer, so it wasn't just, like, all my skills being off cooldown or whatever. Oh, it looks like we're going back. Hopefully I didn't pull the second group on accident. I could definitely see me doing something like that. And I think we did get the other mobs. So Unholy was just Diseases, Scourge Strike, and Dump Runic Power Wrath. Yeah, I remember Scourge Strike. I think Festering Strike is a new one when they added the whole Festering Wound system. It was also kind of similar to now Dump Runic Power Death Coil, except we have Epidemic for AoE. What did I just use? Death's Advance. So that one increases movement speed. I know Wraithwalk also does. I don't know if they can stack. I think this next boss fight, or at least the room, takes a while if I remember correctly. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's the Tribunal of Ages that takes a while. Actually, yeah, that's the slow part of this. I think this boss fight's like straightforward with just being a boss fight. Curious with 2 mobs, it's probably worth using Epidemic because it does the 120 damage to each of them and then it'll duplicate the 48, so they each take 48 damage. Basically take the 2 damages combined. Comparing that to Death Coil, I think, let's see, 343 versus 180, so it's pretty similar, but I still think slightly better as I use Death Coil to use whichever one I just mentioned. The main thing I feel like with the whatever this is called, Unholy Death Knight gameplay is perhaps there are some things, and even some things with the talents I've done to improve this, but sometimes I think in the single target fights especially, having a little bit faster rune generation or rune recovery could be nice, and that's something you might be able to get. Actually, it looks like most of the things are Army of the Damned. Death Coil and Epidemic reduce the cooldown of Apocalypse by 1 and Army of the Dead by 5 seconds. And then Apocalypse and Army of the Dead summon a Magus of the Dead for 15 seconds who hurls Frost Bolts and Shadow Bolts at your foes. That sounds fun, but it is really the cooldown skills. You do have stuff that helps that a little bit. The other ones are actually cooldown skills. Unholy Assault. Sending you to an Unholy Frenzy, increasing haste. I think our healer keeps running out of mana. We must be tough to heal here. But yeah, I'm just thinking as far as talents goes, perhaps I've missed something for my own sense of funness. Oh yeah, I gotta get out of that area. I remember the boss fights, like once I actually see the mechanics again, I'm like instantly reminded of them, but I do have to take that moment to see them. Like right now I can use Apocalypse right now. I did not see that I had that many Festering Strikes on her. And I am incapacitated. I think even using Death and Decay, if I can get her to stay in it, would be worth it. It does cost a rune, but it can... What is it that it can do again? Does something. Oh yeah, it can put, I think, actually Festering Wounds on an enemy, which I need to start bursting some of those. Right, that was a ton of Scourge Strikes, but finally got all those off, and now I can dump some of my runic power. Oh, now I'm incapacitated. At least I'm outside of the bad shadowy stuff. But we had a couple DPS die. I actually had an in-combat res I could have used the whole time. I have a Raise Ally. I even have it down here as well. It's a 10-minute cooldown, but I could have used it. Oh, I saw a Maw of the Damned. I do actually have the, I guess, Legion artifact weapons for all these specs. Somehow item level 20 is the tank one. Oh, I wonder what's going on with that. I wonder if it's just based on how much I leveled it up in actual Legion. Alright, so I think we are done with that. And ready to head to the long one. Oh, my inventory. I have a lot of Blackrock ore actually from Warlords of Draenor still. I took this character through a lot of stuff with Legion, but somehow I have all this Blackrock ore still in his inventory. I even have like Talador Orchid, Frostweed, that type of stuff. I feel like this dungeon's long enough. I probably could have gotten both Frost and Unholy in, but it's okay, we can still do one more as I initially planned. So Outbreak does cost a rune. I was wondering if that's something I could just like randomly use during downtime, but it does cost a rune. And I thought I've seen it go like on cooldown, be unavailable. That would be why. Oh yeah, and with Frost, Abdullah, Obliterate was always fun. I think that's still a skill, but that one was always super fun because it would crit like super high. I think no matter if you use a two-hander or a dual wield. And then that was also Frost Strike, which I also found that skill to be fun. For some reason, I think I have seen that last message, but I thought it was a repeat. Or didn't think it was a repeat of the last one, but I thought, I just thought it was the same message every time I glanced over at the chat, but it was actually a different one about Frost. Which is, so it sounds like Unholy was Scourge Strike and Dump Runic Power with Death Coil, and Frost was, or they were all diseases and then Scourge Strike and Death Coil, and then versus Obliterate and Frost Strike. And I have paying zero attention to what I'm doing right now. Looks like we have a priest, Shadow Priest, I guess, with whatever insanity, I guess that's what that is. I wonder what the priest was taking all that damage from.
Lords of forgotten knowledge are within our grasp.
Time to get some answers. Let's get this show.
Looks like we are going right. Oh, Brain just runs. Yeah, that's right. He just runs through. Oop, I was going to use Festering Strike there, but it went. They kind of share the same resource, Scourge Strike and Festering Strike.
It's too far away.
Or maybe Brain doesn't run right through because he was attacking this thing.
I need to get closer.
I also remember back when you had the Frost and Unholy and Blood runes separated. It was kind of neat because it forced you to use all the different skills no matter what spec you were, I think, but it's also a little bit fun that they got rid of that in a way just so you don't have to worry about all that. But yeah, even with that at the same time, I do miss that a little bit. I would have to actually play that again and kind of compare how they were to really have, if I definitely prefer the old one or like the new one enough. I could Resdy tank, which maybe I should have still done. Actually, he died again.
I don't have a target.
Go with my Raise ally, but I thought we were safe enough. I feel like I should save it in case we need it, especially at the last boss. Hello, Shagroth from Croatia, far away from me. Did I call you Shargath? If I did, I'm sorry, I meant to call you Shagrath. Okay, so it looks like this fight just takes a while because we got a lot of like little tiny mobs and waves, and it's pretty slow that it progresses, at least as far as I remember. That's how it is, so we'll be here for a minute. It looks like it wants me to select some PvP talents, so we'll do that very quick. I guess while this is going, maybe I can look a little bit more fully at my talents that I chose. I can see if there's anything that might help with rune generation, that type of thing. Holy Blight, that costs runes, so I doubt I want that. Clawing Shadows, this you can actually get a 30-yard range skill, which is neat, but it replaces Scourge Strike. It does, I think, slightly more damage overall, but it's also ranged would be the nice thing with that. You could even get All Will Serve to make your Raise Dead spells summon additional skeletals, and I think I mentioned I picked Infected Claws here because that gives my Ghoul's Claw a chance to cause a festering wound on the target. So just get more festering wounds. means I can use my single rune skill rather than my festering wounds. Actually, festering wounds itself does a lot of damage though, but I think bursting the festering wounds is probably more of a priority. Wonder if bursting a festering wound, does that do anything other than just deal damage? Oh, it generates 3 runic power, so that also helps with generation a little bit. Let's see, other talents we have. Asphyxiate, that's more utility type thing. This is bursting a festering wound. There's actually the thing I was just talking about. Bursting a festering wound has a chance to grant runic corruption, 10% chance. So runic corruption is nice because it'll increase my rune generation rate by 100% for 3 seconds. And it's very small, it's each runic power you spend has a 1.6% chance, but considering Death Coil does like 40 runic power, runic corruption should be up actually fairly frequently, I would think. I should probably hit these things. So I see I have like runic corruption right there. And I think I also get a small chance, it seems like, when I burst a festering wound. So that's why I did that. Sudden Doom being able to trigger 15% more often and accumulating up to 2 charges I think could also be fun. Even in AoE, that just means you can use Epidemic even more. I can already use that a lot in AoE. See, the other ones, that's more utility. And then Pestilence, that is the one for Death and Decay, a chance to apply a Festering Wound. So I have a lot of stuff to apply Festering Wounds, it seems like. A lot of things that get benefited from consuming Festering Wounds. Of course, that's a big theme of the Unholy Death Knight gameplay, I think. But yeah, that's what I have picked on my talents. Unholy Pact, this one is a passive. So Dark Transformation actually deals a lot of damage over time. Looks like it's an AoE, and also my strength is increased, so that's why I didn't. Didn't pick that because it's passive, especially compared to Pestilence with the Death and Decay. And then it's nice that for this fight again I can actually pay attention to the gameplay a little bit enough to look at this, but then the last row we already looked over that a little bit. I think Army of the Damned is probably what I would pick out of that. I should probably move out of this fire and help with the fight. And I accidentally just used Apocalypse after all that, but that's okay because I think eventually we don't even have to kill like a end boss with this. And hello Sherwinicus, I am playing WoW. You said I am a traitor. I don't know, I feel like a long time with my channel I've just needed more variety, and actually having some interest in the revamp with WoW with the leveling process and all the changes that come to classes they have at each expansion. I think it's exciting to check out. So that's why I have had actually 2 WoW streams in a row. Kind of unintentionally did end up being 2 WoW streams in a row, but I already had this planned. I already had this stream planned, and I tried to stream Lotro yesterday, but I did not have enough time, unfortunately. And tomorrow, ideally I would also like to stream Lotro, but I don't think I will have time for that. And I could have, of course, done today with Lotro instead, but again, this was more planned, something that I wanted to get to. And I knew I would be able to today to get to that. Alright, so I think we finally finished that again. It was pretty long, but we got done. We should get loot. I thought somebody actually looted this already. Maybe we have to loot it all ourselves. Somebody got a piece of gear at least. I got Relics of Old War, which will go straight to the vendor for 2 silver each. I think it's 2 silver each. That wouldn't be... yeah, 2 silver each. It shows, I guess, then the sell price, the full value for everything you have with it. But now we run back towards the beginning. Not quite all the way to the beginning, and then we have the last boss in a room over there. So the outfit on this character is a bit odd. So with a lot of the plate armor and even the other armor in WoW, it's very bulky looking and just very busy. So this was actually something somewhat simple. There we go. Simple that I had. And if I put my old pants back on, of course, that would save the look, but these pants don't match at all. But yeah, I also have this nice pole arm. Actually, this isn't even a sword, it's technically a pole arm that's essentially a sword. But it kind of matches a little bit. It's an old Burning Crusade one that I like. Oh, it looks like we're going to try to... I don't know if we're going to try to sneak past them, but we're going this way. Man, that tank, I don't know. I was just paying attention to it, but it seems like he had really sharp movements. That's kind of weird looking from my perspective on that. Oh, there's only one enemy left. No need to do Epidemic if there's only one of them. I might have had time to turn in the quest, I'm not sure, but I'll be able to get that later.
Don't worry, old Bram's got your back. Keep that little monstrosity busy and I'll see if I catch some fastest machine to help.
Okay, I should get him in Death and Decay, especially now we have a couple other enemies here, I think. Or at least one other. Then I'll probably use Apocalypse and Army of the Dead. I want both of those going. There's Lightning Ring. I think if I remember correctly, yeah, we need to get out of the area for that. Did I use Death Grip on that? I guess it didn't actually work on whatever type of enemy that was. It's supposed to pull the enemy to me for anybody unfamiliar with that spell, maybe.
It's too far away.
It looks like we're getting some AoE, so I can use Epidemic now, except all the AoE mobs. I was hoping to get some chain effect with Epidemic, basically, but they all died super quick. Might even be able to stay in that. It didn't do all that much damage. I could have even used Anti-Magic Shell, or just for general defenses, Icebound Fortitude. And our tank died. We'll go ahead and res him. Res him, and then we defeat the boss anyway. I just thought he died so many times in combat, or we had a few deaths in combat, that I could have used that. And yeah, Not Me said I should be able to use the Anti-Magic Shield, which I think I just mentioned that one, but it could have been delayed with the stream, and you could have also been confirming that that was true, so it is good to know things like that. Yeah, it looks like it's any harmful magic effect, which I would think that would count as. So we're going to go back and turn in. Might actually be quicker, I think, to leave the instance. No, I did not mean to leave the instance group. I meant to leave the instance. Oh well, I just have some quests ready to turn in that dungeon. Hopefully we don't get it twice in a row, because the next one we are going to be playing Frost, which I suppose I'll be dual wielding. I've heard he can use two-handers again with Frost. Could use this, whatever this weapon is, with Frost for a two-hander. Well, I'm probably better actually using my Frost artifacts. Which looks like they actually, I did fix them for this outfit a little bit. Of course, the pants are still all messed up. So with Frost, oh, that's actually not set up on this character. How quick the dungeon queues are, I'm actually a little bit worried I can't get to all this in time. So I still have to set Frost up actually on this character. That's the first thing I have not set up. Looks like I have a cooldown thing. I have some of my garrison things which I don't need, so I'll just get rid of those very quickly. Dark Simulacrum, don't want that. That is a PvP thing. I don't even think Blinding Sheet. I'll probably end up getting Wraithwalk. So I have all that stuff. You get Death Coil still? Huh. That's advanced, that is a movement thing. Dark Command, that is a force taunt. Death and Decay, so I do get Death and Decay. Wonder if that'll be worth using for a rune. Corpse Explode, definitely want that. All the times we didn't use it. 2-minute cooldown for the ghoul and it lasts 1 minute. And then Lichborn, increasing leech by 10%. Oh, I become undead for 10 seconds? That's neat. Maybe I'll put this here with my other defensive skill, or actually, I'll have them both there. Anyway, for the actual talents, I wonder why I'm doing that sword. I guess I had something right-clicked like I was about to auto-attack it. But anyway, for the talents, what are the most fun talents? An Exorable Assault. Uh-oh. We already have Obliterate, consumes the stack. That doesn't sound good. Runic Power, increased attack speed. That's probably good. I actually might leave this queue. Give myself... Well, queue up one more time. That was a super quick queue, but... I hope for the people in there, but they should find a DPS replacement real quick. But anyway, I'm thinking Icy Talent sounds the best. My Runic Power spending abilities increase my attack speed a little bit. Hello, Kevin Landaverde. I have no idea if I said that right, but you said Feral Druid Forever. Unfortunately, that one I didn't have too much fun with, but I definitely see why people like that. Auto attacks have a chance to generate. Consuming a Killing Machine effect has a 50% chance to grant me one rune. Well, what is Killing Machine? Is that the one to reset? Yeah. My auto attack critical strikes have a chance to make my next Obliterate critically strike. I thought that was to reset Obliterate, like make it free. Oh, maybe that was not the case. This is just talking about dual wielding versus two-handed weapon. Well, as far as the wielding a two-handed weapon, just having auto-attack critical strikes grant Killing Machine, increasing the chance, I guess you could still have like the offhand maybe, is why you could do Killing Machine. They probably have it so it triggers a similar amount of time for each spec, but yeah, anyway, that's what that is. I thought it, again, reset the cooldown Obliterate or made it like free or whatever is what that was, but that does not appear the case. That still could be neat because then you get one rune. I think I'd rather that. Well, I don't know if I would actually rather that than Runic Attenuation, but I think I'll get Runic Attenuation for now. Okay, and then Death's Reach or any of these. Asphyxiate probably just for the quick single target stun is what I'll do. Try to get my interrupt there as well. Avalanche, casting Howling Blast with Rhyme active causes jagged icicles to fall, and I wonder what... Okay, I have Rune of Razor Ice and Rune of... It looks like I already have my rune set up for this character with the Rune Forging. But Howling Blast with Rhyme active just does extra damage. I don't know what Rhyme even is. Obliterate has a chance to cause my next Howling Blast to consume no runes and deal more damage. I do remember that. But I'm not sure. That sounds like a super exciting thing. Let's see, while I have fewer than 3 full runes, my auto attacks deal extra AoE damage. Alright, and then Frost Scythe. This is critical strikes. Oh, Killing Machine? Wait, your auto attack critical strikes have a chance to make my next Obliterate critical strike. Okay, I keep reading that same thing, so I just keep rereading it to make sure I'm thinking of it the right way. So with that, basically, I think I would use Frost Scythe. That deals damage to 5 enemies in front of me. I think that's the way it used to work, but it doesn't do as much damage as Obliterate otherwise. And we already have another... Oh, somebody declined that. Fortunately, that means I didn't have to decline it. I just have to look at the last row real quick. I kind of look at these things. Y'all can probably tell, especially like in my Lotro videos. I like to look at these things a little bit in depth and fully know what's going on with them. Glacial Advance, this one costs 30 runic power, but it has a short cooldown. Summon glacial spikes that move forward. Apply Razor Ice to enemies. I think Razor Ice is what I have my weapon imbued with. break size. This is a 45-second cooldown, reducing the runic power cost of my abilities. Okay, each rune spent during Remorseless Winter increases its damage. Oh, none of these sound too fun to me. Even Glacial Advance, that costs more runic power actually than Frost Strike. I'd think Frost Strike would be more fun to just have. So far I have very few abilities though. That's one thing I'm like immediately noticing. I have hardly any abilities really. We'll have to see how the gameplay goes, but yeah, I'm not too sure about it right now. Actually, Frost Scythe only consumes 1 rune. I could have chosen just based off that even. So basically whenever I have Killing Machine, I use Frost Scythe instead of Obliterate, but then it consumes 1 less rune at least. And I really don't find any of these particularly exciting. The only thing with Hypothermic Presence is reducing the runic power cost of the abilities would be nice, but it's only for 8 seconds on a 45-second cooldown skill. Pillars of Frost is kind of similar in a way. Looks like I want to consume a bunch of runes, but it's a minute cooldown. Glacial Advance. Remorseless Winter. Okay, so that's that one. Anyway, I feel like I'm just staring at this making no conclusions basically. Like, I think Glacial Advance sounds neat, and I'll have to actually see what the gameplay, if like runic power generation is a problem or whatever, but I think I'll go with Hypothermic Presence for now, and we'll see how this plays out. I really am concerned though that this is almost similar to the Paladin, which got boring after a quick amount of time. I thought that just there are so few skills here. I have a 20-second cooldown skill, and then I have like 3 other skills basically. That, at least right now, is kind of my concerns with how this might be. Gameplay could be okay, but I wonder when they changed this, when they changed this area and added it. It might have been with the Shadowlands pre-patch, I have no idea. Hello, Fuka-san. Fuka-san. I really am bad about pronouncing names. I try to not be that bad about it. I'll go ahead and try this. It seems like it's taking forever to kill those undeads. This character's name is Louis, but it's L-O-O-E-Y. I don't remember there was a reason I didn't do L-O-U-E-Y like I spell Louis, which is not... When I was very young, this is how I spelled Louis before I knew like the actual name that people usually spell it by is L-O-U-I-E. But anyway, this character has like 2 O's instead of a U. Just a random note about the name. What is this equal skill? Oh yeah, that's that 3-minute cooldown. I guess I could use Raise Dead. I wonder if it's worth using ever. Howling Blast probably is worth using sometimes in AoE. Actually, if I had Frost Scythe, I think that would even be worth using in AoE. Actually, I don't think it would be all that much worth using over Howling Blast. They both cost 1 runic power, 1 rune. What's this one? This one's to use a bunch of runic power real quick over the duration. Oh, it just reduces the cost of them. Okay, so I can still use the other stuff. I think this Pillar of Frost is where I'm more encouraged to spam my rune consuming abilities. This dungeon's fun, I think. Draktheron Keep. Perhaps not with this many targets, but when I have a Killing Machine, I think it's worth using that. Let's see if this does 93 damage and Obliterate does 314. I would basically have to have 4 targets to use. Howling Blast over that, but also Howling Blast only costs 1 rune, so I think even 2 targets I could use Howling Blast over Obliterate, but when I have Killing Machine, I think it would go basically back up to the 4 targets. I'm actually kind of surprised I'm not having an issue at all with Runic Power, or even runes compared to Unholy. I only have like 3 skills again that I use frequently that have like low cooldowns or whatever, but generating tons of Runic Power with all this. I even could use Death and Decay. Does 181 damage over 10 seconds, so that is technically more than Howling Blast does. I just have to have the enemies last long enough to get the effect out of that, I think. I think I can, I don't know, control one of these undeads or something. There it is, control undead, dominates the undead, forcing it to do my bidding for 5 minutes. Let's do that. If I remember correctly though, the problem is it will become an enemy again once that like the duration of that finishes. And it's really weird only having the 3 abilities. I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing because of it. Which I already don't know too much what I'm doing, but I just feel even more so that that's the case. I think I just used Hypothermic Presence, but didn't even use anything that benefits from it. As in Frost Strike, basically.
I don't have a target.
Yeah, I think in single target when I can actually use Obliterate, that seems to be when it seems like I'll run through the runes a little bit more frequently. Which definitely makes sense since it consumes 2 runes over Howling Blast, which only consumes 1. Wonder Remorseless Winter deals 413 damage, so I think definitely worth using over Obliterate for only 1 rune on that. Looks like we got our ads. For some reason I thought you had to run back. That might be just something else I'm totally confusing it with. Like, just run back and run down and around to get to this area. I'll actually try Death and Decay here. I really do feel like for AoE, even though Frost does seem more fun, I think, in AoE, that Unholy is just better and even more fun than what I would say Frost is. So I do think so far I am liking Unholy better than Frost. Just a lot more going on, a lot more to keep me entertained with it, I guess, is the way to put that. Like, even here, even though I'm like spamming Howling Blast and getting all the nice damage from that, I think I would be getting a lot more from all the stuff going on in Unholy. And it could be also I'm still missing something. There could be some like effects you get where things switch to AoE like some other classes and specs I know. It might not be the case here. Oh, apparently each runic power spin can give me a chance to grant a rune. And Not Me seem to agree that Unholy seems to be the way for Shadowlands. Yeah, I think as far as like just funness, I agree with that, and also performance. I don't have like a damage meter or anything, but it does seem like... Do these people not run up anymore? That's what I'm used to. Maybe they don't. Like when I ran this during Wrath of the Lich King, all the groups would run up to the top. then a couple people I think would stay down for the handlers. Of course, it always varied with... Oh, actually, I have another one. Varied with it being like random heroics and the dungeon finder. But that's kind of what I remember, at least this being like. I guess I should pay attention more when he calls for assistance, because I do know that's when these mobs come out. I could even use, since I'm a Death Knight, I could use Death Grip to help a little bit with that, but it doesn't look like I have to worry about that anymore. I don't even know what that does. It does a ton of damage. It's a 3-minute cooldown. All enemies within 40 yards in front of me. I didn't even know I had to hit somebody in front of me. It was a 3-minute cooldown skill for a ton of AoE damage, it looks like. That would be the nice type of thing, just another skill like that. I feel like to have a short cooldown just to have a little bit more variety with what I'm doing. I think could be fun. Also, just notice I had all these quest track the whole time. Don't need that up here this whole time. Is this the one I need to use a quest item on? Looks like it. Somebody actually just mentioned that I didn't even... I was pretty lucky that I just looked at my inventory and saw that. Oh, I am taking a ton of damage. Maybe the tank. I honestly don't know. The tank might have been there. Oh, maybe not. I don't even see the tank there in cat form. I kept saying like rogue form. It's like druid form. It's cat form. Yeah, I thought the tank pulled, and then I may have even gone too crazy with the AoE damage, even if the tank did pull, but... Yeah, I probably could just run back, I feel like, at this point. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it's okay. I don't know what the mage is doing. It looks like a little hobbit that gets lost in Lothar. Probably just need a release and run back. At this point, I think I don't know, I feel like I should play Frost a little bit more, but... What did that say? I don't know, there's something about ripping something. I want to see what that text said, but I guess it was related to the quest. But yeah, I will play Frost a little bit more, since we did a pretty long dungeon, I think, with Unholy. But I still do think overall I like Unholy better than Frost. And I am glad I like Unholy. I'm glad I like the Death Knight. Even Frost, I think it's fun. Just not quite as fun as Unholy. And I think it's also similar to Ret Paladin, where I feel like I get bored. Will get bored pretty quickly into it. I am going the wrong way. With how long it's taking me to run back, maybe I really should have stayed dead there.
I don't have a target.
They're already killing the handlers and the gut rippers, which I think are after this room where I died in. And I don't think... Oh, these mobs are skinnable, but this character must not have skinning. I guess he's my blacksmith character, it looks like. I think I should be able to mount, if I remember correctly, out here. Maybe not. Maybe I'm not even outside yet, or I can. Oh yeah, it doesn't look like I come out. For some reason I thought you could out here. Some of the outer parts of dungeons. Oh, maybe I was in combat that whole time because now I come out. Yeah, and to me, spamming like Howling Blast, especially in this like few target AoE, is more boring than using Obliterate. The idea of that at least, but it feels kind of weak for what it is, I think. But I'll go through this boss fight as Frost and then we can switch to Unholy. Here's King Dread. I think you used to at least be able to tame this guy as a hunter, I thought, at some point. I don't remember exactly when, but I kind of remember it being a thing. Maybe. A good whole fear. I thought I saw a little raptor, but then I was like tab targeting and couldn't find them again. There's actually a few others that we of course didn't pull. I think it's okay. I don't see us at least wiping with this, but I think back in when this was like current content and Wrath of the Lich King, usually we would pull the boss out of the room and fight him back in that area. Alright, so time to switch back to Unholy. I think one of the things that could help Frost, I think I mentioned earlier, even as Frost Scythe, does a tiny bit more damage than Howling Blast on the upfront. It only affects, I think, up to 5 targets or something it said. But yeah, it would be, I think, just add a little bit more variety when you got the Killing Machine proc and only consuming 1 rune for more damage. I think that would have helped a little bit. There's a runic healing potion. I think that restores health but not rune power, as a name might make it seem like. I should probably raise my goal so I can do Undead Transformation, and now I can do a bunch of AoE damage. Oh, maybe if I actually had enough rune power to do that. I forgot about the last boss. I was thinking we were going to a normal boss, but as I get up here, I'm kind of thinking about the last boss where you like transform into the undead and it makes you seem super weak. Well, it looks like we're trying to skip that group. It looks like people are following okay, at least so far. Even if I compare the numbers of Unholy a little bit, it's of course hard to compare all the different things going on, but just thinking Epidemic versus Howling Blast itself, Epidemic does a lot more damage. I don't know a lot more, but it does more upfront damage and then also has an AoE component to it that does more damage. It looks like I'm getting feared right into this Death Knight. There's a good chance I am dead from that, unfortunately. But I got feared right in the wrong direction. I kind of remember that fear being a thing, and I thought I might have had something to get rid of fears, but maybe not. That might have been another class even. At least I don't see anything on my skill bar. Could definitely be in my spell book still. Lichborn. Yeah, it makes me immune to... It actually is on my skill bar. Move that over here. Oops, somebody rezzed me. If I actually paid attention, could have been in combat quicker. Here I am feared again, but last time I could have done exactly that. Now I have some leech so I can heal myself. I would guess it's the druid who was able to res me.
Thank you.
The work of mortals shall not be
Army of the Dead. Can you only have... I did not know you could only have 6 festering wounds. I thought you could have 8 of those for some reason. This whole time I've been doing these couple dungeons. Now going back to Unholy. So this is when you transform into that little undead thingy, I think. I don't remember exactly what you can do here, but you basically use all this stuff. Except maybe the taunt. Yeah, just like, you see simple abilities. I think they're supposed to be stronger. Is the idea stronger than what you can do, but I'm not even 100% sure that is the case.
It's too far away.
Ziggurat and printed chest guard. Sounds like it could be good. It gives some parry. Another time I'm looting a tanky piece of gear. My loot specialization is on my current spec. So I guess just some bad luck looting some tanky things. This is a tiny upgrade, 1 item level better. So I will equip it. And I got my quest done where I should be able to turn them in. I kind of remember something with the fire. Maybe you had to... Oops. Guess drinking that elixir did not help. I don't know, I kind of remember something with NPCs popping up here. Maybe I have to talk. Back up, I see this guy. Maybe I have to wait for him to do whatever.
For your efforts, you will get the greatest of rewards. Revelation.
Greatest rewards? Revelation?
What you want? Be still, friend, and behold the truth.
But anyway, I guess I should get towards wrapping up the stream because these were all the classes I had planned to check. There is the Lich King.
Master.
I kind of forgot about that. I forgot about him coming here in this dungeon.
With the help of these mortals, this region
But as far as this stream goes, what all did I play? I played Shaman at the beginning. I found out Elemental is a little bit weird, but I think it is fun. It's just weird feeling with the gameplay to me. I don't think it's my favorite thing. I might have liked some of the earlier renditions of Elemental a little bit more than this current version. Also not a big fan of Maelstrom, especially for Elemental Shaman. Enhancement Shaman I like overall. I think it's still going to be one of my favorite specs, favorite classes still. And I still need to test healing and tanking, of course, all those specs, which Shaman has a healing spec, which I expect to like, but I've heard it's not as good anymore than it used to be. But I will be testing that on my own at some point in the future. And then we did another class next. We did Paladin next, and I found out that was fun. I was actually surprised that was fun, but it was one that got boring, I think, over time. Unfortunately, it's kind of like Champion and Lotro to me, just... I think after a while it seems kind of repetitive and doesn't keep to its funness, I guess, after playing it for a while. So yeah, that's what went on with Paladin, but I still have, of course, Protection of Holy to test out with Paladin eventually. And then the other one was Monk, which I knew Monk going in that probably wouldn't be one of the DPS specs that I really liked, but I still want to be complete and test that one. And it had some fun components, some components that weren't quite as fun to me, so it was kind of okay. A little bit what I expected. It seemed pretty similar to the previous first Monk that I remember. At least the one in Legion that I was more familiar with. This is a very long speech. I don't know if we'll eventually get to turn in our quest after this. I think that's what it looks like. There we go. Wow. All that to turn in the quest, get the boots, but of course I leveled up, so I suppose it's all worth it for that. Easy quest. I just have to wait for all that speech stuff to go on, which I paid zero attention to, just like what I do when things like that happen with Lotro. But anyway, what was after? We'll actually get to test these mobs. I know they died like super slow when I was playing Frost, and it looks like maybe in landscape. Oh, they're actually healing. I think I have an interrupt I could use when they're healing. I could use something like that. But yeah, these landscape mobs. Oops, I did not mean to use that. That was a little bit overkill. But it's okay, because that's probably my last fight for today. So I will return to Light's Hope Chapel, and I should actually make my Hearthstone here. I don't know if I really plan to do too much on this character here for the immediate future, but might as well make my Hearthstone here so I don't actually teleport to Battle for Azeroth area. Okay, so trying to quickly think what was after that. So we did Monk, and again, Monk I have to test the healing and tank spec. I expect to like the tank spec the most, but I don't know. That's one of the things, of course, I have to test. But based on my previous experiences with Monk, that is what I would hope, at least, that I do like the tank spec. I guess I can sell a bunch of this stuff into my inventory while we continue wrapping this up. And then the last class was actually Death Knight. This one, I found I like Unholy better than Frost. Frost wasn't bad, but similar to Paladin, I think it got boring over time, and there's only like three very short cooldown, very active in the rotation skills. Of course, there were a couple others, but they had a little bit longer cooldowns. So that was a little bit weird how few of those there were. And I think getting the Frost Scythe talent seemed like it might help. But yeah, I also do still have Blood, of course, to test with Death Knight. And I think the next one I'm going to be going for the melee classes. Death Knight, of course, is one of the melee classes. Even the other ones I played had melee specs. I did all the casters in the previous part. So for part 3, I think I'll get to all the melee classes like Warrior. Another one is actually Hunter. That one's more physical, not quite melee, but I thought I would break it up, have at least a range class in there. So Warrior, Rogue, and then Demon Hunter, I think, are going to be in the next part. And then after that, I'll probably do the tanking and healing classes. Maybe the healing classes and then the tanking classes is what I'm thinking right now. So yeah, a lot of stuff I want to do in World of Warcraft. And again, for anybody unfamiliar with the main game, I do is Lord of the Rings Online. I do plan to definitely still cover the Lord of the Rings Online. It's just a little bit I wanted a break, and also being extra busy since this past weekend, then coming up next 2 weeks. I just don't have as much time to cover everything, and I've been especially wanting to get to all the stuff in the pre-patch with Shadowlands for a while and testing all these classes, so that's been a little bit higher on my priority list, so that's what's going on with my content. But otherwise, I unfortunately don't know when my next video or stream will be. I'm hoping to get to something Monday. That's just my hope. I don't think I'll be able to do anything tomorrow. And I'm actually not even sure I can get to anything Monday, but we will see. Otherwise, I think I should be able to do something Tuesday or Wednesday after that. But again, it's just getting unfortunately busy the next couple weeks. Anyway, with all that said, I hope you all have enjoyed the little bit of variety content with my channel and the World of Warcraft streams, checking out again the classes and Shadowlands, trying to find the different classes and specs I've liked. I was very happy to see in the stream before this one that I did already find that I still liked a mage. It was one of my big concerns, is that I would not like mage, and specifically would not like fire mage, but we found out I like that, so that was a quick find for me in that. And I also still do like shaman in this, as we saw, and even Death Knight. I was surprised Unholy is so fun. But anyway, got off topic there. As far as the stream goes, again, I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing for more, or becoming a channel member to